Okay, so Peter messages me yesterday, and he's just like, not gonna be able to make it tomorrow. You good? Yeah, I'm good. I got this. And then all of a sudden, it's 9:30. I'm going to hit that go live button, and boop, Peter. He doesn't trust us, Zach.
I don't blame him.
That? You know what?
I did. In my defense,
you know what I have to say to that? You know what I have to say to that? Hey everybody, welcome to the Grind here with Peter Howard at PA Howdy on Twitter. I have my guests here, Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse and Zach Reed at Tacit Assassin 13, part of the Dynasty Dummies, the DFPN network, the best and only network in town. We're here to talk about, Dynasty stuff for the past week and I guess grind about it. I don't know. I just sort of came up with the name and I don't really know what it means, but we're here. We're going to talk. You're in the chat. You're talking. Cool. I see everyone popping up. Hold on. Hey, Frank. What's up, guys? Happy Wednesday. Yes, it is. It's Wednesday. Would you trade Derrick Henry, a 2023 second and a 23 third for Kamara and a 23 first? Who cares who your other running backs are? The answer is yeah. I mean, what's the difference between Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara right now? Not much, right?
Yeah, that's a push.
And then give me the 23 first instead of the second and the third.
And honestly, the way I approach running backs, even 2 years ago, I would have rather had Kamara over Derrick Henry. And it's nothing against Henry. Henry's an amazing running back, but he needs that uber volume and to be just an incredible, insane rusher to even touch anywhere near. And I've said this before to Peter, 2 years ago when Derrick Henry had the second greatest rushing season in NFL history, was it the third greatest?
No.
He finished as the RB3, 80 points behind Kamara. So yeah. We'll take the 23 first and be very happy.
But also the good way to think about it is, Derrick Henry's a year older, but even still, let's pretend they were the same age. Kamara's value will decline slower purely because of what we just said. He catches passes. So that will, 2 years from now, Derrick Henry's probably going to be a backup somewhere. Derrick Henry's going to be the 1B in a committee. Kamara's still going to be a change of pace back or a third down back, in which case he's going to score more consistent fantasy points. So Kamara over Henry, the first over the second and the third. So pretty easy, Kamara. And honestly, when you have Akers, Gibson, Javonte, and Carter, flip Kamara as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Hey, Pete.
Hey.
Zach Harris says, evening, guys. We got two.
Yeah, hey. Speaking of that season by Henry, by the way, I put a new column in the season filter thing, so I was interested. I want to rank seasons by how they would have ranked over the last 10 years, because I thought that'd be interesting. Derrick Henry's, that 2020 season ranks 33rd from the 10 seasons.
Wow.
Like fantasy points, you mean?
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing about that.
That's crazy.
The guys in spots 1 and 2 at wide receiver and running back every year tend to rank really high, like top 5, and everyone else is like not. We get very, very few, like significantly above. Obviously, that makes sense. I was looking at that because I had looked at and I saw someone else put out like Cut's 2021 season was different, a different kind of animal. I think it ranks as like the best wide receiver season, second best over the last 10 years. But if you go to 20, Javonte Adams, if you go back to 2020, Davante Adams, wide receiver 1 last year, ranks 1 over the 10 years before that. So the 1 and the 2 at either position, that's why they're so hard to capture. We're always after those players. It's because Cooper Kupp season is literally unpredictable. Like you can't say, oh, that player's going to have like a 10-year generational season. And anyway, that was stuck in my head. So I ended up going and looking at it. So like 33 sounds bad, but 33rd out of 10 years of running backs is pretty good, actually. For most players in the top 5, that'd be pretty good. But anyway, it reminded me of it.
Yeah, but even like 10 years ago when we weren't really passing to running backs not named like LaDainian Tomlinson or Brian Westbrook, or is that even longer ago? I don't remember years anymore. Like throwing to the running back wasn't as big of a deal, and Henry still didn't measure up to that. Like, crazy.
And having said that, I do like when we had this conversation last time, Zach, I think it's important to recognize you'd have to be a unicorn to do a thing. But then when you find a unicorn, you don't start saying, but he's a horse.
Right. He's definitely a unicorn.
Like, Henry is someone that can do that. That's pretty good to know. You know what I mean? Like, we don't discount Henry. We're just like, if you want your next running back who's a pure rusher to do it, it's pretty tough. He might just be a zebra, but he's probably. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Also, I'd like to thank Bob Gilchrist. He's the one who created this new fancy background we've got back here. Unfortunately, I just figured out like this thing isn't going to work where we've always got comments on the screen.
Right.
It's always going to cut.
Because it pushes you out.
I mean, I look much better with everything. You know, break it up.
Right,
I'm a 5.5 at best, and I've made my peace with it. So anything we can do to break that up, we're feeling good about it.
All right. Well, hey, Nicholas J, what's going on? Hey, boss man. How's it going, Ryan? Look at
Ryan. That. I haven't talked to Ryan since the expo. Hello, Ryan.
We appreciate you too, Pat. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're still by. I hope you didn't just like come in, say that, and leave. That would be rude. We're not rude here at all. Bo Clay, learning so much from this channel. Thank you. Thanks for everything. Hey, thank you for checking us out. DynastyLeagueFootball.com. Go check that out if you haven't yet. Company man. Yes. Okay, here we go. We got a question. Tyler Reeves, who would be a tier up in wide receiver when trying to trade either Pittman, Amon-Ra, or both? Question is, are they the same tier for you?
They're pretty similar. I think Pittman for me is at the upper portion of that tier, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably a little bit lower, but they're in a similar tier. They're guys that I'm not 100% convinced will take that next step, but they are players that I am interested enough to roster in terms of like a wide receiver 3-4 flex play.
Yeah,
I think the way I think about it is like I'm pretty confident both could have a top 24 season next year, and that's really important at the wide receiver position. That's flex worthy. That's great. And so I want someone that I'm even more confident can do that, or that I think has top 12 in their range of outcomes.
I think
and
Pittman
so
is
when
more
you
likely to be top 12 than Amon-Ra, though I don't know if Pittman might ever do that.
But that's the thing. If you're looking to trade up, you want neither of them.
More likely to be able to.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
I think both are pretty likely. You know, I'm fairly confident, but you know, you could go for a more confident wide receiver. Like I'm real sure Jerry Jeudy, Keenan Allen, they're going to have more dynasty value for longer, and pretty sure they have the similar range of outcomes of entering into the top 24. As far as having top 12 upside, the next ones I've got, I don't know, Bateman, Devontae Smith have slightly higher likelihoods. I don't think either of them profile as like definite, but they have some range of outcomes, and where they're younger, I think they have a little bit more value anyway. But anyway, that's the way I go through it. Sorry, I'm talking too long, boss.
No, hey man, you're a guest here. You're allowed to talk for however long you want. Unfortunately, when February rolls around, we have to wait a little longer for ADP because we wait for the MFL flip over so we can get the rookie names in there. So we still have January. But in January, DLF ADP, Pittman's wide receiver 21, Amon-Ra wide receiver 25. So I think I would, if I have both, I think I would try and trade Amon-Ra purely because I think his value is inflated. I think Pittman is valued kind of correctly. So I would try, if they're equal valued close to each other, I would try and trade the guy I think is overvalued. And if I could, I mean, wide receiver 19, Elijah Moore, Terry McLaurin at 17, Javonte 16, DJ Moore, Stephon Diggs, like up to 12, who's Deontay Johnson. Like,
yeah, if you can add a second and get one of those guys, like I'm really into it. But the first move is to go, go get CD Lamb, go get one of those really high guys by adding a first. But if you can't do that, you're full.
I mean, I don't think you're getting the, but adding a first, you could probably walk into Debo, Higgins, Deontay?
Higgins definitely more interesting there.
And for me, I'm going to use Dynasty Kryptonite and try to trade for the older player who is at the top of that list that you just said, Russ. And I'm going to go after Diggs because I think you saw him have not a down season, but a down season from what everyone thought, because everyone was chasing that 2020. And you've still got a dynamic offense. You've still got Josh Allen there. You've still got Stephon Diggs, who's fantastic, even though, he is 28.
Let me test you a little bit more on that, how much you like old guys. Like Michael Thomas, you could probably do that straight.
You can probably get Michael Thomas in a third or maybe a second for Amon-Ra at this point.
And that's I do that just because that Michael Thomas has the wide receiver one in his range of outcomes, and I don't believe that either of those other two guys do.
Yeah, they're two at the top of my team old guy list. I would consider trading for like player target list, and Michael Thomas is a lot cheaper than that. Rightly, maybe so, but really glad you mentioned that, because I was that's what I did a podcast episode on this week. It was, is a top 4 rookie pick worth one of those guys? And ultimately, I have to admit, but just because of the number of outcomes that can happen, the rookie pick wins more often was kind of the logic there. But I don't know where Team Old Guy fits into my process. When you tear it all down like that and you accept Dynasty has value in it and whatever, the rookie's going to win more, when and how do I get these old guys? Unless they're worth a second round pick, when do I do it if rookie pick? And so it's interesting to think about it that way. When you've got a Amon-Ra or a Pittman, you can go for one of those older guys because you're tearing up, you're accepting less value, but you think you're getting safer and also maybe more upside. I think that's a really good place to put it.
I absolutely loved that episode, Peter. And I loved the series of tweets that you had that kind of sparked that episode. I love the game theory, and it took me beyond where you were to almost exactly the same place where you just said, because I think that the value now is that rookies who don't necessarily hit still maintain value. And so trading out of those, the second year players that people still like to get Team Old Guy is the new way to go.
You just got to hope they're not straight up bad.
Yeah, no, I don't care if they're straight up bad. Yeah. Like if I'm trading them, if people still like them.
I mean like Rager bad. Like,
I mean that's true.
Marshall,
rookie year Rager bad. I meant like his value actually.
You had to go for Rager, not Terrence Marshall. I appreciate that. Thank you. Just some salt in an old wound. There you go, Pete. I'll move on.
Well, I had to have something that had more value in the first place because Terrence Marshall never really had much to begin with.
Yeah. Oh, he was.
Well, no, he was
a late first.
Everyone's backing out of that now. Like he was valued.
Process then.
he had a higher ADP to start with than who was it? Someone compared him to the other day. Wasn't Laquan Treadwell? It was JJ Sager-Whiteside. He was a late first round pick. And someone said, I think it was Tyler from the Ask DLF show. He was like, he sees him having a similar value arc. I'm like, yeah, but it's a steeper slope because Terrence Marshall was drafted like 30 spots ahead in startup drafts of where JJ Sager-Whiteside literally was ever drafted when he started, and he maintained it for longer. So, I mean,
taken earlier.
I think there was a lot more hope and hype because, I mean, like the guy, those games that he did do well in college, he did really well, and a lot of people saw the upside. And in that class, there was so much hype around it anyway. And I think he caught a little extra win because of it. But I wasn't meant to talk about Terrace Marshall. I appreciate you guys talking about Mr. Stephon Diggs because I honestly just put that together where Team Old Guys fit into that episode. And also it confirms for me I'm bad at this because I thought everyone would hate that episode. It's just me honestly saying something that's pretty obvious. And I was like, I kind of phoned that one in, it feels like. But
the game theory breakdown was great because that's like, I think not everybody thinks of.
I definitely don't. I have to grid it out or I don't think about that.
Yeah. And that to me, again, that's one of the things that I talk about a lot is with my podcast is game theory and psychology, because I think those are places where you can actually gain advantages where everybody's got a lot of the same information now.
Yeah.
So you're not gaining as much advantage with the information. You're gaining advantage on how you use the information against the people in your league.
Informational asymmetry.
That's the one. We talked about that a little bit.
To answer the second part of Tyler's question, what Peter was saying before, that Amon-Ra and Pittman both have definitely solid chance of being top 24 wide receivers.
Yeah.
So if I'm trading them for a rookie pick with all of that risk to it, I want someone with a higher ceiling than that. That's really where, like, I don't want to give you a number right now because I really feel there's going to be zero useful ADP coming in this rookie draft.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing, though. Like, this draft class, that's the other thing I wanted to go into more than that. Like, this draft class, I think you can get Pickens at the end of the first this year, and like, that's a different thing.
It's like, the thing you've been talking about the entire time. That in a bad season is when you get Keenan Allen. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins was highly drafted both in the NFL and in rookie drafts, but
honestly,
Keenan.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. These are the type of class that make me look, I feel like I have something to add because, it's Stephon Diggs falling a little bit in the draft and it just being fucking obvious the NFL messed that one up. Like, I was convinced. It's like, no, that's not your typical later round pick. That's not. You should get that guy. And but because we know to trust draft capital and perfectly good and logic, like he falls to the end of the first or the second, and you're like, this is the year. I'm racking up because, anyway. A lot of my teams are so bad because these years come along so rarely where I can get great wide receivers and no one wants them. T. Higgins was one, actually, in that year. He fell a little bit. But sorry, we're not answering questions on nothing. Come on, Showmaster.
All right. Favorite receiver coming out of this draft, and leave Burks out of it.
Oh, I was going to say Burks on 3.
No, let's take away the easy one. Okay, who's your... I know it's not going to be equivalent, but who's your Rondale Moore? Who's the guy you have just above everyone, where everyone else ranks? The guy you said, well, he's my wide receiver too, but you don't need to take him that high.
Well, there isn't a guy that I am that excited about, but it's Pickens. Like Peter just said it. It's George Pickens is my wide receiver 2, and you don't have to take him at wide receiver 2.
I kind of hate it, but yeah.
I
love this class. I was like, I've got a bunch of small wide receivers that play in the slot. Those are going to be my DJ Moores. No one's going to want them. They're not tall enough. And then the more, like, I literally moved Pickens to 2, same tier, but I moved him above the others. Sorry, Karen, Zach.
No, it's like that. That's exactly it. And the cool thing about Pickens, especially if you're drafting at the end of the first round, you probably did really well in your league if you've got that pick. Mm-hmm. So you can take a swing on a player like Pickens, who the floor, that's what the floor, that's the dynasty speak of. This guy could be really bad. The floor is really low. Like, he could be terrible, but he also could be AJ Green. Like, that's the range of outcomes. The range of outcomes is he could be terrible, wash out, but he's so good. And the things he does, he's one of the few players in this class to me that can beat both man and zone coverage, which is a nice thing, which means you can split him out, you can slide him inside, and he can win wherever he is. He's got moves off press coverage, three distinct moves where he's got a good jab step, he's got a stutter and a hesitation, and he's got a hand fight off press, swipe, chop, that sort of thing. Like, it's Pickens. It's Pickens. Garrett Wilson is my next. So it goes Burks, Pickens, Wilson. But Wilson is going to be up at the top end of this draft. I mean, the Ohio State wide receivers are going to get drafted highly. So,
all right. So I just need to show Bob what's going on here, because he apparently forgot to sign out of the DTC.
He looks good though.
And he asked if we couldn't figure out the frames. No, we can. We just have a little bit of an issue. So that's why we're not using it, Bob. Come on. Why didn't you think of this on your own, Bob? Come on. What do we pay you for?
Trade.
Okay, Nicholas J. Would you trade Jalen Guyton 2/3? The answer is probably just yes, because who cares about any of this? For James Conner, Traquan Smith, and Raiders D. Yes. Sure. James Conner to me is the only guy here that matters out of any of this. But either of those defenses aren't great. Jalen Guyton, whatever. I mean, let's face it. If Jalen Guyton was going to be a thing, he would have been a thing when Mike Williams was hurt. Like if we're sitting here saying, well, Mike Williams is going to leave, so Jalen Guyton's going to step in, he would have already.
Right.
And it didn't happen. So chances are, if they want someone to replace Mike Williams, they're going to go get Allen Robinson, and that would make me happy. If Mike Williams has to leave, it has to be Allen Robinson who comes in to replace him.
I kind of lean the wide receiver and the picks because I literally don't care about anything. So just generically, I guess the younger wide receiver and the picks.
That is honestly, very fair.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I think wherever James Conner goes, he's going to be the guy that scores touchdowns there. So that's kind of what I was.
He'll have a game. Yeah, he's going to have games. He's a good player.
Jacob Blitzstein. Hi, guys. Monster trade brewing. Considering shipping 323 firsts. Whew. Oh, my. Likely early to mid for Dobbins, Swift, and Claypool. Yeah, I do that. I mean, you're sending at least 2 for Swift alone, 1 for Dobbins, so free Claypool. I mean, if you believe in, if you believe Swift is that dude who is the RB 2 or 3, if you're a fan of Dobbins like I am, and if you think that the Steelers are going to bring in an actual quarterback, and please just don't think Mason Rudolph is the answer. Like, not a lot has to happen for these 3 guys to be very good in the NFL and good for your fantasy teams. You're going to have to get lucky to make all 3 of those picks worthwhile.
And
more luck that those picks, like the people you pick, will go and hit the height of running back 3.
I think you're right. The value is definitely on the Dobbins, Swift, and even the Claypool side. Here's the thing, though. We constantly talk about, go get future draft capital and don't train for running backs this time of year. So I'm just going to throw that out. How does that affect you? Right now?
Well, hold on. Let's hope that Ryan is still listening so I can prove that I listened to his show. On the DLF flagship show, they were talking about a trade that was a little similar to this. And even Ryan himself, I believe it was, said, look, you're not supposed to trade for running backs now. But when you get an offer like this, you do it anyway.
That's kind of what I was wondering about. It's like, yeah, but that's 2 really young, good running backs. That's maybe different. Like, that's maybe different.
Exactly. Like, to me, there's so much you can do, even if you don't intend to have those 3 players on your team by the time the season starts. I think you can massage those 3 into something that is better than just 3 random firsts. Because again, he's saying likely early to mid. We can't play that game. So many teams go first to worst to first that you can't do it.
Well, and if you're adding what you suspect is 2 top 15 running backs, then your team ought to be pretty good.
Dobbins is RB 12 in January already, and he's just going to keep going up.
But I mean points, right? Like, so I think about points a lot more than you do, Russ, a lot more than John Bosch does. Like that's kind of how I go and attack things. If it were me,
what season are we in right now?
I know, that's fine. If it were me, I probably would make this trade and then turn around and try to get your 2 firsts for Swift that you just said, and then I got Dobbins and Claypool for a first, and I'm very happy about
it. Absolutely 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that is. Yes,
Bob just jumped into my DMs and taught me how to do that. By the way,
how to do what? Oh, nice, cool. Does Pat Coughlin, does Sony Michel have a chance to be anything next year? Nothing crazy, maybe an RB3. I mean, an RB3, probably, maybe, because there's always one running back on. Is he signed? I'm assuming he's signing. Assuming he's signed in Los Angeles, one of those running backs are always hurt. So chances are there's going to be a couple of games where Sony Michel will be the guy to play. Will you know when they are? Hopefully. Will they be worthwhile when those games actually happen? Hopefully. Would I trade for Sony Michel? No. If I have him on my team and someone offered me a second, buy Sony. Otherwise, I would just hold on to it and hope I get the right time to play him.
I think he's a free agent. I think that he had the 4-year contract with the Patriots, ended up with the Rams. I think he's a free agent.
I mean, that would be if that's he was a first round pick though.
He was, but they did not pick up.
They did not pick up his option. Okay,
no.
Honestly, so running back though, yeah. Once teams kind of jettison their attachment to running backs to draft capital, seems to matter less unless you're Melvin Gordon. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably rather roster Sony Michel than an empty roster space right now. But yeah, you're hoping you can trade him for a second or third at some point.
Just get your fingers over that somehow. It's like you're Ridley Truther. Hey, buddy, when is too early to take? Never. When is too early to take Higgins in a 12-team Superflex startup? 101, baby. 101.
That is too early.
Up at the 302, and if CD is gone, I'm really thinking about it. Already have Kyler and Najee. No, that's fine. Okay, hold on. Let's pull up the wide receivers again. Talk in January. So he's assuming CD's gone. So let's Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb are all gone. How far away is T. Higgins from AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Jalen Waddle, Deebo Samuel, and Cooper Kupp?
See, here's
now
the
remember,
thing.
pure value, because he's doing a startup in February.
I think he's too expensive in startups and really good in trades. Based on the trades I hear around Twitter and around these parts, like he seems like I get why everyone's saying buy T. Higgins. But then I look and he's like getting drafted in January ADP and that's January ADP, which is going to go up as like wide receiver 11, just below Cooper Kupp and above Stephon Diggs and Deontay Johnson. And like, that's where I'm at on Higgins. He seems expensive in a startup and a good trade target.
If Waddle's still there, I want him.
Yes.
Yeah. Waddle.
But again, if Higgins is your preference, he won't be there by the time your fourth rolls around.
No.
So you take him. That's what it comes down to. That's what a lot of what startups is. ADP is ADP. Whether it sticks to that or not, it doesn't matter that there's people above T. Higgins in ADP. If you don't think he's going to be there, your next pick, A, make some trades, or B, you just got to take him anyway and figure the rest out later.
What I think the difference is that his ADP is so elevated because of what's going to happen in ADP. Like everyone's saying buy T. Higgins and he's great and he's undervalued is just, I think that's going to be reflected come this next cycle. And that's why we're still finding good trades because there are some people aren't in on that. They're not seeing the tweets or whatnot. And so I think he's going to end up being overvalued. So
if you want some good trade insight on T. Higgins, you can go to dynastyleaguefootball.com and go see the Trading Post article post today by Russ Fisher. First ever article.
I read that.
You did. It took out my Sesame Street joke. Do you believe that? I'm a little sad about that.
I swear the editors are getting a little snippy over there. I'm just saying, James. Just saying, James.
I emailed James. I'm like, are we not allowed to make pop culture references, or do you just not think my Sesame Street jokes were funny?
No, I just think they have to work overtime whenever I send an article in, and so sometimes I stress them out.
I really hope. Okay, so let me know when you're.
But yeah, they asked me to remove my joke as well. That's all I'm saying. Like, there was a 20 for 20 article, and I don't do traits and skills. And so I was like, the trait and skill they need to improve is not being drafted in the 4th round. And he was like, that doesn't make sense. It's like, come on. He laughed a little, but I take it out.
No one cares. Daniel McGrath.
James is awesome, by the way.
What do you think about Renfrow moving forward? In January, Renfrow was wide receiver 38. I don't think he stays that low. I mean, the question is, how high do you think he'll go? I mean, at this point, with how he showed, he'll be above Mooney, Mike Williams, Cortland Sutton, Michael Thomas, Tyler Lockett, Allen Robinson, maybe Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins. I think we're going to stop around here because we're about to hit Amari Cooper, Marquise Brown, Brandon.
I don't think he will be. I don't think people believe in Hunter Renfrow because they look at him and they see a 5'10" white guy who plays in the slot.
Who just got fed targets.
Yeah,
He's-
and
he's gonna be a second-round pick.
It's literally the same
Okay.
thing that plagued Jarvis Landry. Well, almost the same thing that plagued Jarvis
But
Landry.
aren't we in like a different age at this point?
No, Team Big Clemson wide receiver. We're not. People are still looking for the next Calvin Johnson, and they don't believe in slot receivers because slot receivers they're being scheme targets, and they're not going up and making the big highlight plays. Like, this is where we're at. Hunter Renfrow is still going to be
MVP.
Yes, I understand that. Like, I fought the Cooper Cup battle 5 years ago. Like that was a thing.
Who, when he was drafted, I got into such a fight with my friend because who was on the Rams when they took Cooper Cup? He got traded in the offseason right before the season. Sammy Watkins, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag Team Clemson, big wide receiver.
Yep.
I'm like, nope, this is Sammy's team now.
But that's the thing. Like, people don't believe in slot receivers because they look like you should be seeing them bagging groceries.
They're just getting fed targets.
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson's getting drafted below T. Higgins.
Absolutely.
He isn't as thick, basically.
And again, that's not Daniel. If you don't have Hunter Renfrow on your team, there will be an opportunity to buy a top 24 wide receiver for less than top 24 wide receiver prices.
I've got a good mental check for you. When you're sending the offer, ask yourself the question, would I be okay sending this amount for Jarvis Landry or Tyler Boyd? Because I've got them on the same list. That's what I'm willing to pay for Hunter Renfrow because I think that's what I'll get him for at some point.
Yeah.
But also,
like, that's where he is. Is it stupid? Yes.
Do you think you need
he's
to
a points player?
Do you think you need to
He'll never
send
have value.
a first for Hunter Renfrow?
No.
No, but you probably have to put a little bit with a second to get him.
201 and the 212.
Yeah, I think you get him for that, and I would be very happy paying that.
Yeah, especially because who cares about the 212, right? I mean, that's.
I don't even care about the 201, whatever. Whatever.
I know you don't, but that's wrong.
It's got a 2 in it. It's nasty.
That's it.
That's what goes in Zach's head. 2. Yeah, I don't even like numbers.
I can't count that high.
Yeah.
Bo Clay adopted a 2019 team. Only value I have is Akers, Michael Carter, Chase Claypool, Hollywood. I almost said EJ Moore. That's, oh man, how did I just bring up EJ Manuel in this day and age? I have 4 firsts and 6 seconds. Thinking about cannibalizing the wide receivers this year. Take me out. Talk me out of it.
No, you should trade all that.
You should. Yeah.
I love Hollywood. I love Elijah
everything
Moore.
else and figure it out.
These are players
and honestly,
will never accrue value.
Go try and get 23s.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're thinking, like, if you're looking at your team and that's the only value you have, I would be trading Akers now because
after the Super Bowl, I think he's got a little dip.
You think so? He played, and he's going to be the number 1 running back for the Rams.
I think
because he didn't put up 100 yards, it was a slight disappointment.
I think we're still in the honeymoon phase where it's just like,
yeah,
oh my God, he's actually playing. At least, honestly, that's where I am. Let's face it, that no other running back did well against the Bengals.
No, that was not a running back game.
So I think it would be weird to hold it against Akers. Again, what was brought up on the DLF flagship show, which I also brought up on Trade Addicts. Yes, I could say that because I released Trade Addicts today before I listened to the DLF show. It's the player they had in the backfield when they passed the ball to the running back after the line of scrimmage was Darrell Henderson. It was not Cam Akers.
Oh, that
was the only thing that worried me.
No,
they are going to split, Peter, but you trade them before smart people like you start saying that they're going to split. Like, I think Akers' value is high right now.
Yeah.
Akers one of those players where I keep getting right, but it's impossible to get it right in your league because you'd have to trade him every 2 months. Right. People keep going the wrong direction, and you're not going to keep being able to trade Akers that much in your league because eventually your league mates are going to look at you like, wait, and figure it out. But I do think, just based on, actually, I can call out DLF content too. Tyler from the Ask DLF show that goes on the day before us, and he was talking about during the Super Bowl that he's going to be buying Cam Akers because he wasn't putting up yards, and the general sentiment seemed to be, well, maybe he is more hurt than we thought, or he's not come back for. And if that echo chamber gets going, then Akers is going to be a buy. But because what Zach just said, by the time we get to the season, if his value's back up, he's a sell because he's a top 12 maybe, like an Antonio Gibson had a top 12 season this year, and so did Joe Mixon, but it's not, everything a top 12 season's cracked up to be because there is more of a split. And so you just got to play that value line and pick your spot because you're not going to trade Cam Akers as much as you need to hit the value line every time. But if you're getting two firsts for Cam Akers, that's kind of at some point I'd
just say yes. Yeah, at that point, you just say yes.
Yes.
Nicholas J, would you trade James Conner at the draft to move up or trade him and a second for a first rookie this year? Just get the first now.
Yeah, trade it. Yeah, trade it now. Don't wait till the rookie picks are more, worth more when you're in your draft. Do it now.
Yeah. Wyatt Johnson, what would you want in return if you were to trade Cooper Kupp in Superflex?
Not too much.
101 plus. I mean, that's the honest truth. Now that the Super Bowl, now that the Senior Bowl has passed, it seems like we have the 101 in Superflex leagues. We have Malik Willis, who is a mobile quarterback, and he looked good in the Senior Bowl. Again, it doesn't matter that it's stupid process. It is what it is. And he's going to probably be the first quarterback drafted. It's probably going to be in the top half of the first round, which equals QB1, which equals the 101, especially in a year where we don't have Zeke or Saquon, those guys that did jump the quarterbacks in their years. So I want more than the 101. I want a lot. I want top 3 wide receiver numbers. What are you going to trade CeeDee Lamb for? I want that for Cooper Kupp.
You want a top 4 rookie pick in 2023, and you don't know no one knows what that is. So you basically need, top 3 rookie pick plus at least. Which is why I normally don't do it. I'm just probably going to ask for too much. I'm probably going to end up keeping Kupp. And I'm good with that.
28-year-old slot receiver. You're right. It's going to be very tough to get the value you want. When will you get the most? When people realize, oh, he's still scoring all these points next season. That's when you might be able to get the real value. And why that would be even better is because let's pretend it's week 2, week 3. You have a little bit of an idea where teams are going that year, and you could see where those first you won't know, but you'll have a better idea than you would now.
Yeah.
Frank Neal, I've learned more in the last week from listening to you guys and the DLF squad than I did my whole first year in Dynasty. Oh, thanks, buddy.
Appreciate that.
Harris
Ask DLF. They're cool too.
Yes, Cal and Tyler are awesome.
I mean, not as cool as us, but they're pretty cool. They're all right.
Harris highlights, would you trade a second rounder to 203 to 205-ish for Brandon Cooks or Tyler Lockett? Yes to both.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now, that changes a little bit if Wilson leaves and Lockett stays.
Nope.
But the answer is still probably yes in a 1 QB to 203 to 205, just because we've seen these wide receivers do it already.
Tyler Lockett should be worth more than Cooks, too. Just saying that. I like Cooks, but I don't think they should be in the same tier. As long as they are, I want Lockett.
That's fair. I mean, to me, they are in the same tier. They are what they are, and they're both too old to ever really have value ever again. Hey, Zach again. 10-team, half PPR. Weird to hear non-Superflex, not just 1 QB. Would you trade Debo, Thielen, 207, 209 for James Robinson? No.
No, this is
first
crap.
of all, you have to put this. If you're going to put Debo and Thielen first on your side, you have to put the important guys on the other side also.
I was going to say, dude, put those picks at the front of that.
Yeah.
The minute where I read James Robinson, Jared Patterson, I was like, what the?
If that's the best we got, the answer is no.
Well, I would say 4 firsts.
Okay, so let's try this again. 105, 107, 23 first and second, 24 first, James Robinson and Jared Patterson. Yeah, in that case, the answer might be yes. I don't feel great about it because what's a 24 first right now? But
Yeah, I would do it, but
Yeah.
because how long is Thielen going to continue to do? And I know that he's good, but you're talking about aging wide receivers with declining production. That's he's in that wheelhouse.
And
I
I
hate
know
that he
Debo
threw
is
a
good.
I hate that he threw a 2024 pick in there. Like,
Yeah.
like that's take it off. I like this trade better, honestly. But yeah, definitely. Debo is basically what you're trading away. Thielen has almost no value. It's points player. And if this is the best you've got on your team, you definitely want the picks anyway. So yeah.
And then combine the 105 and the 107 and go get something pretty.
Something real pretty.
Deontay Johnson or DJ Moore?
Deontay Johnson.
No.
You just say DJ and you can't be wrong.
Nah. Good point.
It is Johnson, though.
Jimmy J in my first startup draft, and I don't love any running back options at my 6th pick. So flipped my pick and 22 rookie 112 to move up to 22 rookie 103. How likely am I to get a solid RB2 or better there? Okay, first things first, draft for talent, trade for need. Don't do things in either the startup or the rookie draft to set a lineup. It is February. We don't know what your lineup is going to be come September. What you did, regardless, it's a good move. I mean, getting from whatever a 6th round pick in the startup and the 112 to get to the 103, like to me, that's good value. You probably jumped from like the 6th to probably the beginning of the 5th. You know, you moved up like a good more than one round, you know, value wise. So I like that move, but don't set on a position. Don't set on a player. Wait till you get there. Pick the best player. If that player isn't something you want or need, that's when you take the time and you say, can I trade this pick now? Or do I take this player and trade him after I take him? That's really what that way you have to think about it. Like you did with your pick. You didn't like what was there, so you did something about it. But don't do it because of a position. Like if there was a very strong wide receiver there, you kind of lost out a little bit just by not taking them.
Yeah, to answer the question directly, how likely are you to get a solid running back to like the 6th pick overall of this?
Well, no, that's his 6th round. Like his
103, Peter.
103.
How likely is he to get a solid RB2 at the 103? He didn't say if it's 1 QB or Superflex. If it's Superflex, very likely. If it's 1 QB, I mean, probably still pretty likely because you're probably you're probably walking into one of the top 3. Well, you are walking in to one of the top 3 running backs because worst case scenario, you get the 3rd best running
and there's
back.
going to be a wide receiver there too. So I think you're pretty likely to get a decent running back.
Yeah.
But Russ said the main point: don't draft for need. What I would say is I'm not. A lot of my teams stink literally because the running back position is empty right now. So full disclosure, that can happen to you following my process. Listen to every word I'm ever going to say. But I don't care about running back specifically right now. What I would say to you is come back in 2 months and ask the same question. And I'd be like, go check the temperature on CMC and Barkley. Whoever has them in your leagues, go see what they're feeling. And those are going to be potential trade targets once we get through a lot of the offseason. However, if you have a top 3 pick, I think it's a pretty good chance you're going to be taking a running back. It's probably going to be Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, and they're pretty good. I think you'll be happy with it. But if a better player falls to you, take that.
Frank Neal, also, would you trade Henry and Freiermuth for 111 and 23 first, would be later in the first most likely, and Hawkinson? I'm assuming that's Derrick Henry based on what the value looks like. So my answer is yes. For the 111 and 23 first and Hawkinson, like at this point, is there a big difference value-wise between Muth and Hawk? I love that we could just shorten names at this point. Like they're probably like tight end 5 and 6 right now. I mean, again, we're stuck in January, but yes. Oh, 6 and 7. I was so close. Hawk is 6, Muth is 7. You know, so to me, like age-wise, they're a year apart. So especially for tight ends, throw that out the window. They produce probably pretty similarly, if you ask me, in which case, again, I'm fine throwing those 2 out the window. So Henry for the 111 and the 23 first, I think that's pretty good because Henry has, when you were talking, Pickens' range of outcomes, it's the worst player ever to the best player ever. Henry has a pretty small range of outcomes. He's Derrick Henry, or he's like running back 20.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to be worse than that. Again, we're not going to predict injury. That's one thing we're not going to try and do. Assuming he plays, he's going to either A, be Derrick Henry again, or he's just going to get less volume, in which case he's going to be a solid RB2. Would you feel okay? Let's cut that in half. So RB12, RB10, would you feel okay sending the RB10 for the 111 and the 23 first? I think you would be. I mean, it's definitely not a straight line process that I just laid out there, but to me, if you don't want Henry on your team, I'm super good doing this trade. I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's Derrick Henry for 2 first-round picks. So
yeah, I would not
in January, February, whatever we are. I'd take that.
Yeah, and the thing that worries me, I know, Russ, you said we're not going to predict injuries, but we don't have to because we can look back at an injury, and it was a foot injury. Yeah. And foot injuries with big humans worry me. Not just in the NFL, but just in general, like that type of injury with a guy the size of Henry worries me. So you insulate yourself a little bit by getting the picks as well.
4th and 101 plus what picks or wide receiver tier equals CMC?
Oh, wow. Sorry
question
to interrupt this broadcast. What do you think? Which running back position rank do you think Derrick Henry's being drafted at right now in January ADP?
January?
The only one we got.
Probably like 10.
Nope.
20.
Lower?
20?
Lightly higher. 16th. Running back 16.
Wow.
He'll be higher in February, probably.
Oh, for sure. It's just
actually no. Adding in the 3 rookies that'll probably be above him.
Coming off a season, and I know that it's easier to look at season long than it is to look at per game. But coming off a season where he was the per game leader in fantasy points in PPR.
How many? I wish I could remember.
Old running backs
8 games.
Kind of look like such great buys by the time this season rolls around. Like,
how many games of Derrick Henry being out did it take Jonathan Taylor to catch up to him in points? It was like 4 or 5,
I know,
right?
that was hilarious.
I think he's still like running back 7 in points per game. It's like it's. Anyway,
okay,
sorry, Karen.
This question here.
Wow.
Let's if you're listening and you're in the comments and all that stuff, give us a league setting. Like, let us know if it's Superflex or 1QB if you're talking picks, because that makes such a huge difference. Is CMC worth the Superflex 101?
I would trade the 101 for him because I think I am not sold on this quarterback class. I think you are going to be talked into taking Malik Willis.
Yes.
And Malik Willis is what everybody who hates Jalen Hurts says about Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
Like that's literally like, he's not a very good thrower. He's a very good runner. He's not a Lamar Jackson type runner. And so if we're already concerned about Jalen Hurts, who's put up 2 years in the NFL, like, I'm really concerned about the fact that we took 3 days in practice in Mobile and went, yeah, this guy from Liberty is the 101.
He might become that quarterback I now hate. Yeah.
Okay, so then let's answer the question then. Oh, sorry,
As
Peter.
a non-QB evaluator, hearing people who have done well or think they do well at quarterback evaluation talk about this class, here's what I know. I don't want any of these QBs. I don't want any of them. I'm definitely not going to guess which one's actually good, and the people who normally do pretty good at that literally don't know, and they're divided and just miss me with this QB class. No thanks. There's a good one in there. I'm not going to pretend I'm going to guess which one. Just miss me with it. I'm going to do everything I can not to have to worry about it.
Okay, so let's go 1 QB. Would you do? Let's pretend you have CMC on your team. Would you accept the 101 and Devonta Smith for Christian McCaffrey?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's Dynasty.
It's wide receiver 16. What about Elijah Moore?
Yes.
I'm trying to keep youth involved. Like I didn't say Keenan Allen because I know youth.
Yeah, Keenan Allen would be a flat no. Elijah Moore is pretty close to that line, but I think I'd take him.
They're back to back. Allen is 18, Moore is 19. 20 is Ridley. We can just skip that because there's too many questions there. Michael Pittman, Jerry Jeudy.
Nope.
All right, so we found that area. Our cutoff is around that 18 area. So, we're talking strong wide receiver 2 value on top of the 101 to get to Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't answer this question because I don't value running backs.
Jerry Judy's falling, isn't he? 101.
He's going to be lower than 22 in February.
Yeah, if I could add a Pittman.
Hunter Renfrow.
That hurts my feelings.
The 101's significant value already, so you really don't have to add much more than a top 24 wide receiver that is okay,
Russ with a clean shave. Sort of clean shave. I didn't use a real razor. I just used a buzzer because
I knew something looked different.
I got a haircut, and I'm like, okay, well, now that I got a haircut, I can't have this of a beard. So I'm like, I'm not gonna. I can't find the freaking guide thing. Screw it.
That's
I'm like, oh, my face is cold. This is nice. Okay, Daniel McGrath. I have Pitts and Waller, and was wondering if I should trade Waller while I can or hold for insurance with Pitts being so young. Keep those points because chances are you can't get what you want for Waller, and you're not going to get what you need to trade Pitts away.
Everybody hates Waller.
Everybody hates Waller. And if it's any sort of premium, Waller eats that stuff up, assuming he gets back to even close. Even when he wasn't getting good volume, he was still getting 8 to 12 targets a game for a tight end is great. So I would absolutely ride that.
We're going to need Pitts to catch more than one touchdown every 1,000 yards, and then we can talk about trading Pitts. But
if your name isn't Calvin Ridley, you can't catch a touchdown in Atlanta. That's the rules.
Fair.
Oh no, your name has to start with a C.
I like that. I like those rules.
Your name has to start with a C, Calvin or Cordarrelle.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, honestly, right now, especially, I would hope for both. Unfortunately, the answer with guys like Waller or like we were talking before with Thielen or pretty much most running backs, guys where most of their value is based on the points they score, you're not going to get full value in February because nobody cares about points in February. And while I know I'm Dynasty Atlas and I have a trading problem, I'm trying to say be patient. I'm with you, man. I know it's tough, but it's this. There's the fun thing and the smart thing. The fun thing is go get what you can get, see what you can do. The smart thing is if you're competing, go get those points because Waller still will score them, or wait until it's much closer and people are like, oh man, everyone has better tight ends than I do. Oh man, this guy has 2. Let me go get Waller. And then you can probably get a better deal for him.
Yeah, it's not the timing, it's a trade. It's what can you get for Waller? That's what I'd need to know to say distinctly yes or no. Like, is someone offering you a second? Get out of here. A single first? Probably keep Waller. Above that?
Keep Waller sure. Single first for sure. Oh, Eric Flynn. Shouldn't you be sleeping, man? See where McShay had Pickens at wide receiver 16 in the class? Are those guys good at their jobs? McShay
I think
I have stopped listening when people every year I get told this guy's ranked here and that guy's ranked there by some other source. I'm like, that's the problem with a million different freaking rankings, isn't it?
Yeah, McShay and Kuiper always just seem to be very wrong.
Traylon Burks is meant to be drafted late and Garrett Wilson's going to get drafted. I don't know. The draft is going to tell us. I'm going to have to stop worrying about that. I just wait till
Tyler Reeves. I traded Waller and Tannehill for Jones, Fant, and a second in Superflex. All right. Jones.
Yeah.
Help us out.
Oh, you asking?
It's got to be Aaron.
Mac Jones. Got to be Mac.
Mac Jones?
Daniel Jones?
It's got to be Mac Jones, right? Superflex. You're not
Peter
trading
Jones?
Mike Jones?
You're not trading Tannehill without a quarterback, surely. If it's Mac Jones,
that's probably good. Otherwise, no. Not Daniel Jones. Andrew Baker, Claypool for Dalton Schultz and a tight end premium Superflex.
No. I don't know why,
Don't you
but
get
I'm just not interested in the Schultz.
getting Schultz on your team, especially in a super flex, in a tight end premium league, is the right move. The problem with what you did was it's supposed to be a sneaky move where you don't have to pay the price of the production you'll get, and you sort of did pay that price. So while you did get the guy on the team you want, you might have overpaid a bit. But if you're into Schultz, you wanted him on your team, you went and got him. So good for you. You being happy is all that really matters.
I don't know why it is, but the Schultz and Knox tight ends of the world, like I love players that come from nowhere to be in the top 10. I'm uninterested at tight end. It's like, why would you care?
The one thing I will say is Schultz had more than 100 targets last year, which is very, very rare as a tight end.
That's the difference between I know
Knox is a touchdown guy.
Names to compare the two of them, but the difference between Knox and Schultz is Knox was a touchdown guy, Schultz was a target guy. And again, especially in a premium, it helps
That's what it is.
if he doesn't catch touchdowns.
That's what it is, because everyone's trying to that's part of everyone trying to play tight end like wide receiver. Like, it does not matter if they're top 12 or top 5 if they're not producing difference level fantasy points. They're just a startable guy. But Knox and Schultz are great players. They're gonna be startable probably, unless they fall down, which does happen occasionally with those sudden rises. But they're not going to be Travis Kelce or the season Mark Andrews just had. Like, very few tight ends do that, and so trading for them just feels like I can get Gesicki, I can get Hunter Henry, I can get top 12. It's fine. I don't see the reason of targeting.
He got the tight end. He feels good starting.
No, he paid for it. That Claypool, like you said, Claypool just has to have a touchdown and everyone to remember he's a thick, big body guy. And I think it's going to be a lot easier.
If they go and they keep Mason Rudolph, you're sort of stuck, and it's just like, oh, Claypool's bad again. In which case, his value's dead at that point, because it'll be
but
so long.
What have you lost? You've lost a top 12 tight end performance that you can pick up off the waiver wire most years, even in Dynasty. Like, I just don't like. I bet on the upside, and Claypool's the only one with it there. That's
right. Then what about Claypool and the 202 for Hawkinson and Superflex tight end premium? Do you think Hawkinson's on that level?
He could be. To be fair, I don't know why I say that even. I don't even profile tight ends that well. Like, he's both a yardage target and touchdown monster. It's whether Detroit can improve the situation. So, yeah, it's fairer. Hawkinson's got a better range of outcomes, I think. But probably not.
Joe Herbert, receivers like George Pickens and Justin Ross offer an extended set of possible outcomes. They probably need to be balanced with safer picks to mitigate risk, but they are exciting.
I think that's one of the biggest fallacies in fantasy football is mitigating risk. No offense, but you want to be first or last, and if you mitigate risk, you're going to be in the middle.
No, because it depends how.
And you're also not having to pay up for them. Like, literally, Justin Ross is going to be a 204. Pickens is probably going to be 110 to 202. You're not having to pay up for them, so there's not any risk. Like, the risk is already baked in.
The risk is you didn't trade the pick instead, and that's it. That's always true.
Well, I took it more as not the cost risk of taking them, but the players themselves on your roster. You know, it's like when you have someone like Tyreek Hill, it helps to have someone like Jarvis Landry or Tyler Boyd, where you can get a little covered on those 4-point games when you have a guy that's going to give you 12 every week. That's why Hunter Renfrow is awesome.
I think that's been conventional wisdom. I think it's kind of a fallacy. I think it's kind of like playing aggressive stocks, where if you play aggressive stocks and you have a portfolio of all aggressive stocks, the stocks that go up balance out the stocks that go down, and you have a pretty good portfolio. And if you have everybody, everything go off at once, then it's ridiculous. I used to be that guy. I used to be you've got to have the balance. I think that if you can get, especially you're drafting rookies. You're not expecting them to come in and start. I know we've had Justin Jefferson. I know that we had Jamar Chase. That's not something that has historically happened very often. So having players with this huge range of outcomes, where I would much rather take the guy who can be a wide receiver 1 than take the guy who could be or probably is a wide receiver 3.
I don't know how you mitigate rookie picks with other rookie picks.
No, yeah,
I don't understand the question, and also the old idea of mitigating risk and consistent floor. It disappears in the wash when you actually go looking for it. There's no such thing as consistency. Wide receiver scoring is up and down. And while Tyler Lockett might be the extreme of it, I mean, there is no consistency. So the player who is extremely consistent this year is going to be inconsistent next year, or maybe not even producing the top 24. I think it's really, if you invest too much energy or capital trying to mitigate risk, you spend all your time doing that, and you need the ceiling to actually win. So what's the point?
You want to know how far behind we are? I think he was talking about Sony Michel when
he was definitely talking about Sony.
Tyler Reeves, sorry about the Amon-Ra Pittman questions, but in a 3 wide receiver lineup, if you have those 2 and AJ Brown with Boyd and Myers at flex, what would you try and do with this group? Level up, man. Level up.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, like exactly the question you asked before.
Wait, mitigate risk. You've got all the wide receivers you need there. It's like, no, you want higher scoring players. You try and turn Pittman and Ra into higher scoring players. Unless you're trying to mitigate risk, and then you're good, you're safe. You're definitely going to win with those
snarky
players.
Peter is here.
I don't mean to sound snarky. I really don't. Especially not towards that person who said that. I'm reliving debates I've had on Twitter. Don't worry. It's not at you.
It's at me. He's aiming it at me. Jerry, is Kamara worth the 23 first? Now? Yeah. Next year? Probably not.
I know. I think... What are you really trying to ask me, Jerry? Are you trying to ask me, should you trade Kamara for a 23 first?
Or should you send a 23 first for Kamara?
You should sit on that team dependent fence, Peter. Sit right on it.
It's the real answer.
You shouldn't trade for Kamara until closer to the season. If you get him, if you could trade him away for a first right now, probably the first is more likely to increase in value by the time we get to that.
Kamara won't increase in value.
He will in the season, probably, but it will be a spike and not worth going for. So,
Dynasty Trading Outpost. I'm back tomorrow. This will be my first post. Joe Herbert, the Cooper Cup Wars. He jokes. I'd read the crap out of that.
I would read the crap. I tell you what, that Marcus Brown troll tweet that I think some people didn't realize was a troll tweet about him taking up a gaming career. Like, I was like, no, oh, wait, that's not true. And then I was like, but I would watch the hell out of that stream, though. You know?
I forgot. Someone's
maybe think about it.
Tweeted out there, but someone's like, I've watched him play. Keep your day job. It was like
Addison Hayes said that.
Ooh. Ed Fromm.
Then who was it? It was Jesse Reeves getting back into the fantasy space, made fun of people playing Fortnite. And I was like, I'm getting hit from all angles over here. Marcus Brown hate, Fortnite hate, whatever. Guys,
okay, boomer.
Yep, basically.
Okay, Franz, people are into acres at the moment from what I've seen. Yes, they absolutely will be. If you were into acres before, you're back to being into acres. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I disagree, but consensus is people are holding the postseason against him. They are. You're wrong. How about that, Ed? It's safe to say that the 301 in 2023 would get you better player than an early second-round pick in this year's draft class.
No,
that is not safe to say.
That's not safe to say.
There's way too much going on between then and now to be able to say that. So if you're talking about trading your 201 for a third next year, that's
and I think Daniel, don't get conflated with people saying that next year's draft class is better.
That's actually
saying that it's deeper, because what people are saying when they say it's better is there are going to be a couple of quarterbacks who come out that are going to be better than anything in this class. There are going to be 3 or 4 running backs that are head and shoulders above anything coming out in this class. And if Jackson Smith and Jigba and Keyshawn Boutte and a couple other wide receivers come out, there are going to be 2, 3, 4 wide receivers better than anything in this class. Doesn't necessarily mean the third round is going to be the answer.
You know what I just
I
realized?
also,
Sorry, go ahead. Mine's not serious, so you go ahead.
I stand by what I said in my YouTube video, which you all both watched, obviously, so you know.
Of
what I said.
course.
Yeah, stronger class isn't so much better players, even depth of players. And if you're getting a good player in any third round, you got really, really lucky. It's more this class is harder to profile. Picking out the ones that are definitely going to hit, because there are definitely going to be hits, is harder this year than next year. That's it. That's mostly what they mean. Which
it's
is
also
why
worse.
This kind of thing is.
It's also worse. How many bad team names are there going to be when a guy with the last name Booty comes into the league?
I don't
They're
care.
going to be
When's
rocking everywhere.
I hate it.
When's Jackson Smith coming out? It's really all I care about.
Hopefully
anymore.
next year.
Like,
That's the plan.
I'm a sucker for puns. Like, I grew up in the age of Animaniacs and Freakazoid and all of these cartoons where it was literally just one bad pun after another coupled with slapstick, and it was my jam. Fantasy football teams with pun names, I hate it. I've yet to find one I'm like, that is actually funny and not just annoyingly clever, and not in a good way.
It would be the only entertaining thing about NFL commentary.
Mm.
Every now and again, they'll have to say booty.
Booty.
Be worth muting occasionally for that.
Why couldn't Jake Butt actually be a thing? Come on, guys.
Jeez.
He keeps getting hurt. He was Patrick Bichette. Who are some players you would trade straight up for a random 23 first? So I pulled up DLF ADP because DLF. Woo woo. I mean, I'm gonna scroll. Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson for a random 23 first.
I think I would rather have Gibson right now.
What'd you say, Peter?
I'd probably rather have Gibson.
Okay. DJ Moore?
No.
Moore?
Man.
Okay. Chris Godwin?
I'd rather have Godwin.
Elijah Mitchell?
I'm more concerned than most.
See, I'm not as high on Mitchell. I would trade him. Devonta Smith?
I'm keeping Smith.
Keeping Smith.
Akers?
Trade him.
Yeah.
McLaurin?
Trade him.
Henry?
Just because of the age. I like McLaurin, but again, you're talking, he's getting to the point where he's not going to have value.
He just turned 26, so he'll be 26.
I can tell you, in this range, it's been a matter of if I like them a lot.
Yeah,
that's been the difference maker a lot.
Well, and it's why I went there, because I knew Gibson is a bit of an iffy, hit or miss guy, but I knew the second I hit Elijah Mitchell, it would be a conversation. I mean, and we're around the ADP of 30. And that's around where we're getting to that. Yeah, maybe. Okay. I mean, when we keep going down, we're going to hit David Montgomery, Keenan Allen. I think goes
trade him.
Yeah. I mean, next is Elijah Moore. He's not going for a first. Calvin Ridley will probably go for a first at this point. Kelsey, depending on the premium. Pittman, Judy. And now we're at the absolute. Yeah. Okay. Trade him for a first.
Yeah.
So, I mean, around that area. Josh R. Grinding time. We need like a sound effect to go right there. Randy, wait. 14-team PPR. Have Chase, Elijah Moore, Mike Williams, Swift, AJ Dillon, John. Really weird. I don't know why seeing John Taylor threw me off so bad. We are switching to Superflex in 2023. QBs are Brady and Matt Ryan. No first until 2025. Hell, you do need help, man.
So did you not know that you were transitioning to Superflex? Because that's something that you would want to give a league a couple of years.
I mean, it seems like if they're switching that's only 1 year. Yeah, you should probably give at least another year in that. Especially, you should definitely not
suggest a redraft.
I don't know, with Chase and Elijah Moore and Swift, and Jonathan Taylor.
So,
without a second quarterback, you're going to get buried.
What you do
by the time they switch, he's not going to have a first quarterback.
What you do, because everybody's hating on the 2022 class, and you're not switching to Superflex until 2023, is you trade into the mid first of this year's class, and you take Malik Willis and Sam Howell and hope one of them hits.
I mean, or
whoever whoever gets drafted. I mean, like
that, or I'm trying to swap out Williams, and if there's an AJ Dillon truther in your league, him for Mac Jones Tua.
Mac Jones, yeah,
both a little concerning, but they're young and they could definitely pay off. Justin Fields,
yet,
maybe.
But if they're
Justin
smart,
Fields is probably a better bet than the.
Go get Zach Wilson. Like
Zach Wilson, yeah.
Zach Wilson is going
Trevor
to
Lawrence.
be starting in 2023, and he's not valued very high. But
it's whichever one of these you can get for the value Zach just suggested. If you can get a high first in this class, so you can take a quarterback with it, great. If you can get Zach Wilson, Tua Tagovailoa, look at me go. Mac Jones for the same kind of value as paying for that early first, I'd be happy with all of those options.
Yeah. The best, 2774. Like, are you the 2,774th best?
No, the best is superlative. So there's only one.
So he is the best.
The best 2,774. Yes.
Got it. Okay, in a rebuild, but still.
Okay, Dynasty
Rodgers.
Outhouse. Let's mock this guy's name for a little bit.
No, I was asking a question. There was zero mocking in my tone.
Tacit Assassin 13. It's true that some people struggle with names. In a rebuild, but still have Aaron Rodgers. What should I try to get for him? Any suggestions?
10-team Superflex. Honestly, you're not getting much for Aaron Rodgers anymore. You're gonna be lucky to get a good first for him right now in a 10-team Superflex.
Where's that guy we were just talking to? Go trade for Aaron Rodgers too. That's fine.
But will Aaron Rodgers be playing in 2023? We don't know if he's playing in 2022 right now, or where he's playing in 2022 right now. I think take a first, be happy with it. Nicholas J is a second too low if you got James. Would you take a second for James Conner? Yes, you should.
I don't. Yeah. If that's the question, yeah.
I believe that's the question. Yeah, I would take a second for James Conner.
I think he's thinking of offering something for James Conner, in which case, just don't.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah,
just wait a while.
Jimmy J. Hey, Jimmy Johnson's here. You know, the Jimmy Johnson. Context to my earlier question: 1 QB, and I started Chase, Debo, Tyreek, Akers, and McLaurin. I don't remember Jimmy's question. I'm scrolling. I honestly don't even see his. Oh, here we go. Oh, his first startup. Stop it. This is my show, Peter.
Sorry.
Oh, it's who he drafted already in the startup. It honestly didn't even really matter. It doesn't really matter who you drafted already because that doesn't really context doesn't matter in that kind of situation. Joe, we're just grinding. Peter, new show? Shoe?
Appreciate it, Joe.
Back to Patrick. What's your general approach for building a 1 QB roster? How many QBs, RBs, wide receivers, tight ends on your dynasty roster in a 25-player roster? I love the sarcasm in the defense.
Yeah, I would only roster one defense if you have to start one.
Yes, if you have to.
Building in a 1 QB.
Honestly, I'm fine sticking with 2 quarterbacks. I don't feel like I need more. Running backs. I mean, it does. Now we need to know how many you're starting and how many you have to start. That's really what's more important than the full size of your roster. The smart thing to do, even though it's not what I do, I'm just such a wide receiver person. I want all of them. But the truth is you should have more running backs on your team than wide receivers, and tight ends. Just stick with like 2 or so.
I tend to have 1 tight end I'm pretty comfortable starting and a plethora, like 3 or 4 others that I've kind of got hoping one develops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you need 2 QBs, but in 1 QB, I've really only focused on having 1, especially to start with, and I'll take some shots. Yeah, I'm drafting wide receivers early, so I've probably got 3 or 4 solid, and then occasionally, someone doesn't draft Juju Smith-Schuster where they should have, so I'll grab my Kendrick Bournes real late and my Juju's late. But yeah, I want like a lot of that roster, even in a 25-team league. 25-player league. It's got to be running backs, especially when you draft wide receivers early. Most of it's running backs.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Chris Lemke McCaffrey, DK, Sutton, Chuba, Big Irv. For Aaron Jones, Mike Evans, Waller, the 104 and 223 first. Am I selling too low on CMC and DK Metcalf? Yes. Maybe? Okay. Are Sutton, Chuba, and Irv worth anything?
I'm trying to figure this trade out. Give me a second.
Yeah.
At least Chuba and Irv are not.
So Sutton for Waller, maybe?
I'd probably rather have Waller.
How is DK not worth most of that other side? What am I missing?
Well, he's asking if he's selling too low on CMC and DK. That's the question.
Definitely.
I think he is. Yeah,
definitely too low.
I mean,
two first is the benefit here. I guess.
Like, I'm moving my mouse around, like you guys can see my mouse, like when I'm circling something on the screen.
Yeah,
like the only thing you're really super excited about at this point is the 104 and the 2 firsts. Waller and unfortunately Evans are declining assets at this point and will never be worth what they actually get.
Here's what we've got value players that I think are undervalued on one side: Jones, Evans, Waller, plus 2 firsts, and then players. CMC might be a little undervalued, but no one's recognizing it. No one's giving you away CMC. DK, who's a little undervalued, but not really. No one's scared of him. Sutton's a lot. You're giving away. No, you're giving them away. Stop it. 2 firsts isn't worth it. Keep CMC and DK.
If you can counter back and take the value of Evans and Aaron Jones and get it into one stronger player, I would do this trade for the pure reason.
Yeah.
The risk of CMC and DK, I think, is higher than a lot of people like to talk about, where CMC could just be hurt from now on. And DK, if Russell Wilson leaves, won't be the same. Like, I think he'll still be fine, but it's Russell Wilson. He's very, 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 very good. So having that good of a quarterback helps regardless of the volume you get. So I think the floor is lower on the CMC side than it is on the other side. So honestly,
I think the effect Russell Wilson has on DK. I'm sorry, I'm going to shut up. That'd be too long to talk about.
Wait, hold on.
Russell Wilson,
I can do this now.
Probably the best deep ball thrower in the NFL.
1,000%, yes. Okay, but should you do this trade? Honestly, probably not. But I don't think it's that bad. It's just that if you can switch Jones and Evans out for people who are at least appreciating, if not getting the 2 of them put together to get a better player, then And if you're rebuilding, then I would probably do it anyway, just because it gives you more flexibility. Ohms H, Kyler Murray for Justin Fields in the 103 and a 1 quarterback. If this was next year, yes. Like, when you're in 1 quarterback, there's very few quarterbacks that matter. The problem is Kyler is one of those that does.
Yeah,
so and I want,
but it's
Fields
1 QB, so I don't care. I'll take the 3rd.
I want Fields to be that guy, but we don't know if that's going to happen. And the 103, so we're talking either Burke or one of the 2 running backs. I don't know.
I want Murray in that. I do.
I do too.
It's gross, but I want Murray in that.
Yeah.
I probably want Murray, to be honest. Yeah. If my team is anyway decent, I'm just keeping Murray.
Wow, look at Calvin just hijacking our chat.
I know, right? Just trying to take our stuff. I know that guy. Kinda. I spoke to him once on Twitter.
You should go, if you haven't yet, go listen to his show that he just did with Adam Harstead. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic.
Not because of Cal or anything. Adam's just.
I mean, Cal. No, I gave Cal full credit. I said
Cal is absolutely awesome.
A tremendous host, and anytime Harstead talks, I'm in. So that was a win-win.
Patrick's saying nice things, and I'm going to read them out loud because Peter doesn't normally do. By the way, I really like the dynamic between the 3 of you. Keep up the awesome work. Thanks, Patrick. We appreciate you, and I appreciate the nice things you said about, and I accept the compliment. Now I stare at Peter with his awkward look on his face because he's still not comfortable with people saying nice things. Daniel Mayer,
Patrick, don't you find that there's a little too much aggression coming my way every show, though? Like maybe a little. No, Patrick? He's gone.
No.
Okay.
How much more valuable are the startup 101 and 102 in Superflex versus 1QB? Okay. Right now, when would you take the first non-quarterback, and who would your first non-quarterback be? Are we talking Jonathan Taylor, or are you at the point where you might take Chase or Jefferson over Taylor?
I always take Chase and Jefferson over Taylor, but
I was
that's
going to
how I
say
build.
that's not even in the conversation.
That's how I build.
Well,
Yeah.
just because the masses love running backs, even though I know most of us don't.
The mess. Listen to you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now where's the aggression going? Okay, so
No, you're fine. Let me see. I got my things pulled up, so I can. Yeah, I take Jefferson, Chase, then Jonathan Taylor, then I consider AJ Brown and CD Lamb. So,
all right,
if you're asking for how I start up,
I mean, let's just pull up Superflex ADP again. We're stuck in January. The first non-quarterback is taken. Jonathan Taylor taking at the 6, and then the first player after that is at 9, and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase right after him. I mean, that's pretty much it, right? Like, we're talking, you have to adjust like 6-ish picks at best. And the problem is, the further into the first round you get, the more you have to adjust, because chances are you're going to get 8 to 10 quarterbacks taken in the first round of a 12 team.
The other part of this, though, how much more valuable, it depends on your league. It depends on how much your league value quarterbacks versus, a single quarterback league. Because I'm in leagues, Superflex leagues, where quarterbacks went off the board like crazy, and all of a sudden, 15 of the first 20 picks are quarterbacks, and you're looking like, what is going on? And then I'm in other leagues where people are playing quarterback chicken, and Mahomes doesn't go until the beginning of the second, middle of the second, and
draft matters.
So it depends on your league. If you are, I like to, if I'm later in the draft, like later in the first round, it's nice because you kind of get a feel of where you can make that value up. Where if quarterbacks go early, you can play later round quarterback and get value with those wide receivers or Jonathan Taylor, if that's your flavor. If Jonathan Taylor and Jefferson and Chase are gone and you're sitting there at the back end of the first, all of a sudden you can double tap quarterbacks and have that advantage. And so that, to me, it's not necessarily how much more valuable, it's what your league is doing and where you can extract that value from.
Okay, but let's pretend brand new league. You've never met these guys before. You've never played Superflex before.
Mm-hmm.
You have the 101 and 102, and people start offering you trades. So I think that's how I was trying to process this question. Like, you've been playing Dynasty for 4 or 5 years. You have a hang on Dynasty, on startup drafts, on rookie drafts. Like, you have a hang on it. But the value changes.
Did I disappear for a second, or was that just me?
Just you?
You look good, Peter. I see that. You got your long flowing locks.
Okay, sorry. For a second, everything cut out on me. Karen.
Nope, just you. So how would you, if you're used to trading the 101, 102 in a 1QB league, how would you have to change your value for the 101 and 102 to trade away in a Superflex
See,
league?
that's how I took the question. Like, what's
to me, it's a lot more valuable. Like, I mean, we're talking pump it up like it's another 5-6 picks ahead, in which case, what's the difference in trade value between Jonathan Taylor and Patrick Mahomes?
That's what I thought it was.
Josh Allen, or whoever you have as your QB 1, 2, or 3. And while, yes, 1000% draft price and trade price are 2 completely different things, but you have to keep it like, that's honestly the easiest way to think about it, even though it might not be a great process. It's the easiest way to think about it. And again, with not knowing the people in your league, without knowing how the first draft is uncovering, uncovering on words I can't think of right now. Crap, I might be tired. That's sort of how you have to think about it. Hey, Joe, I recently traded the 102 and a 1QB for Stephen. Good move.
Yes.
Joe Herbert, I would not take a QB in this class in the top half of the first round in a Superflex rookie draft. I mean, I get it, but value is value, and QBs are going to be valued up.
Again, you definitely should, but what you should do is trade back. That's what I end up doing a lot.
And I agree with Joe. Like, I've just finished watching the top 4 quarterbacks and come away very underwhelmed.
Yeah.
I still think that Sam Howell is going to be the value. And again, it depends on draft capital, depends on them, whoever gets drafted in the first round to a team that doesn't have a quarterback. You know, if Pittsburgh takes somebody, or, you know, whatever other teams need quarterbacks. But I'm with you. But again, this is part of the reason why everyone has said for 2 years that this is a down class, is you don't have the high end assets at quarterback. Your wide receivers are very flat, whether you think they're good or bad or indifferent. And the same with running back.
Thanks, bud. You're always looking good, Cal. He always is very clean cut, and it's very intimidating. Not gonna lie. Nicholas J, 111 this year or James? Well, man, there's a lot of James Conner questions going on. Anything with a 1 over James Conner?
That's a lot of James Conner questions. It's kind of weird. I thought
to me it's pretty easily anything with a 1 over James.
Yeah,
Conner.
111.
Jacob Calloway, 101 plus a 24 first or Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence. Pretty easily.
A lot of 2024 questions.
Well, NFL just rolled over, so now we have them. So people are just trying to get rid of them right away.
Oh, right. Yeah, get Trevor Lawrence. Cool.
Trevor Lawrence, pretty easily for me, because I just don't care about 24 first right now. This was back to when we trying to figure out who the Jones was, because the next one we have is
Joe has got some great, he's spot on. We're like half an hour behind, but he was
Tom Jones.
How do you start by saying I only have Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, and Rashad Bateman? Who should I trade my 23 first for? Excuse me. I mean, we sort of had this talk already. Whoever you can get. I mean, if you were able to trade the 102 for Stephon Diggs, 23 first isn't that far behind in value behind the 102. No. So stay up there. You know, let's hold on. Let's pull up wide receivers. Stephon Diggs is in Superflex, the wide receiver 11. It's so weird how they're different. I mean, go try and get Deontay Johnson. Send a 23 first for Deontay Johnson. That's a win to me.
Wait, No, you can't.
Do you think
AJ Brown or CD Lamb? Could you get one of those? Those are the only two I can think of.
Probably not. But if you can get, if you believe that Devontae Adams still has a year or two left, bam.
What about Tyreek Hill? Is he not quite in that where we're worried about age?
Yes, people are there. I've been trying to trade Tyreek Hill on a team I want to rebuild, and no one wants him.
So that might be like if you started Diggs, Hill, and Higgins as your like wide receiver 1, and wide receiver 1.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
That's a pretty good lineup.
You think you can get Elijah Moore for a random 23 first right now?
Easy.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If that's the case, and they're just like, yeah, then don't try that yet. Wait, don't send it first for him. Super Cooper. Point 3. Just traded for Stafford. Had to give up Michael Thomas, Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and Carson Wentz. I now have Dak, Watson, Stafford, Huntley, Ryan, and it is Superflex. Thoughts on the trade?
Stafford for Michael Thomas, Akers, and Henderson, and Wentz.
I would trade that for Stafford, because I don't feel good about starting Wentz, and
I feel fine about starting Wentz. And you gave up 2 players with top 12 upside. I hate it. Sorry, Super. I hate it.
But lower floors, and I feel good about this. I'm fine with this.
Feels like a mitigating risk trade.
No, it feels like a bunch of quarters for $1 to me. Okay. And if you can get away with that, more power to you. Good for you. Zach's still thinking.
What? Yeah, no, I'm kind of split. Like whatever.
How is Matt's? He won a Super Bowl. That's how.
No,
but he also was really good this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's really good most years, to be fair. But I get you. Yeah, I'm with it.
So, don't you want someone that's really good?
No, not that way.
Oh, okay. Not like these. Jack Wolf, Zach Wilson, Javonte Williams, Brandon Ayuk for Joe Burrow, Ramondre Stevenson, the 211 in the 202 in Superflex. So, Javonte Williams for Joe Burrow. I'd make that trade.
I'd rather have Burrow, yeah.
Yeah.
In the Superflex.
I've been saying it for a while now. I love the idea of Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams moonwalked into being a top 5 running back, and it's going to stay that way. Like, he accidentally tripped and fell down into the spot of top 5 running back just because of everyone aging out and because of all the injuries that have been happening, and because we have these rose-colored glasses that just magically erase Melvin Gordon from the team. So you're not giving up anything super solid just yet. And you're getting Joe freaking Burrow. And Ramondre Stevenson isn't nothing, but he's... I would absolutely give up those guys for Joe Burrow pretty easily and feel good about it.
No, I've had Javonte Williams as a top 5 running back in my ranks for a month now, and it's literally because of that, because everyone loves him, and you can't ignore that value. I would trade it away immediately, but yeah.
Now they're just messing with us, right?
I think so.
Connor for Claypool.
Even
if you're down on Claypool,
Peter doesn't even acknowledge Claypool's existence, and he would take the negative space that is Claypool for James Conner.
Just give me the roster spot. You could have James Conner.
Yeah, basically.
Well, if Calvin's calling me out, he's absolutely right, because I did not watch it, because
I haven't seen it, no.
Because I hate you, Calvin. That's why.
Pretty much, No,
that's not true. I love you, dude. I just don't have an attention span. It's my fault. That's in relation to the Elijah Moore answer.
Yep.
Take risks in trades, but don't make it a pattern. You're more likely to die if you drink and drive every day as opposed to once a year.
Don't drink and drive, Joe. Not even once a year.
We on the Dynasty Grind on the DLF YouTube channel do not endorse drinking and driving, regardless of how often you do it.
No, I'm much more selfish. Like, what the hell are we going to do every live stream if you're not around? And you could seriously not be around if you drink and drive just one day a year. Stop it, because you need to come on the weekly grind comment section every week. So quit.
But definitely make your risky trades.
But no, okay, so here's... How many leagues are you in, Joe? That's the real question. When you're a jerk like I am and you're in 10 leagues that have the words trade addicts in the title, you can make stupid trades all you want. Like, not the show that just happened this week, the week before on trade addicts. I spent the entire time making fun of the trades I made. Like, I made bad trades, and honestly, I did it because I was bored. And I don't dislike the players I trade for. I overpaid for all of them, but it's just like, you know what? In this league, I did a heavy, heavy destruction of my team, but I didn't feel like having draft picks anymore. So I traded them all. And it was bad, and I admitted it, and I knew it. But who cares? I mean, again, because I play in a lot of leagues and I play in a lot of low-stakes leagues. If you're only in 3 leagues and they're all $150 or more, you don't make risks. You don't take risks, or don't listen to me if you're in those leagues, because I don't give that kind of advice, because that scares me. I'm more risk averse in general, but once a year I'll make risky trades. I'm curious what you think. Was your 102 for Diggs a risky trade, Joe?
That's what I was going to say. I think some people think risky trades aren't. When I don't, I probably wouldn't classify them that way.
Nope, wrong button. Here we go. Calvin again. Hollywood Brown or a 205 and a random 23 second.
Hollywood for me.
Do you get fantasy points for Fortnite scores?
So Russ, I know that you're a Seattle fan. Hollywood Brown per game outscored DK Metcalf. Go get him for 2 seconds. Relax.
No, I'm with you. I absolutely, I would have chosen Hollywood Brown also, but I just wanted to make the joke for getting fantasy football points for playing Fortnite.
I'm a boomer. I don't Fortnite. I'm sorry. I'm not actually a boomer. I'm like a Zennial. I'm like in that Star Wars generation that we talked about.
I'm technically that too, but I'm very much a boomer. Like, I don't think these generations are scientific. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I don't think they're.
Peter, I've seen you Fortnite.
Beat this one. I get nauseous watching Fortnite and Minecraft. Like, I can't watch first-person shooters. I start to vomit. Alejandro Galvan, Acres, and the 211 or ETN. ETN, right?
ETN.
I'd rather have Acres, but
because I mean, the 211 is pretty much out the window.
I'd rather have
Acres or ETN.
I would rather have Acres than ETN.
I just think the value of ETN's higher.
I think the value of ETN is going to, but if Akers is already half and half on whether people are in or not, I'd probably just keep the player I prefer, and I prefer Akers. So it's fine.
Okay, so she was saying that trading away the 23 first is her risky move. Trading away pick isn't risk. See, again, it's really very, very different on depending on what your definition of risky is. Love the 23 picks with the same energy behind loving unproven rookies over old producers. Yeah, 1,000%. But the thing is, we're already talking picks that have this high of value, but the problem is it's not going to go down. And the bigger problem is it's gonna go up. So like that's why trading the 23 pick right now, it's not risky. It's just tough because you have to be able to put in your brain, I'm going to sell this now and get what I can, but not cry when I see what they go for later. And I completely understand doing that because I have no patience, and I'm that person who will trade a 23 first for random player and then see that person get traded for a second later on and just be like, oh, well, crap. Oh, well. That's just unfortunately what it is. See, that's what gets me upset.
Oh, you love the next one then.
Jacob, how about... No!
I missed that show too. I'm sorry.
I unfortunately had to watch that.
I know it from references, and I think my wife watched it. But
yes, the wife watched it, and unfortunately, I caught most of it. I tried to walk away, and she just didn't want to sit by herself. So I had to make the sacrifice and try and tune it out while playing Best Fiends on
Happens
my phone.
to you too, huh? I know an inordinate amount about unsolved mysteries because of that exact same reason. Like, I have no interest, but I know a lot about them.
I watched One Life to Live for over a decade because
I can quote the Gilmore Girls. I got you beat. Like, I can literally quote from any season. It was on repeat for when we first came to America, we had a DVD player, a TV, and a crying baby, and that's what you watched. Oh god, the actual DVD, like the background. You remember DVDs?
I do.
The menu's got like a music that plays over the background sometimes, and it was a la 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 la. That keeps me up at late night sometimes. That nightmarish noise because I'd fall asleep when the kid did every now and again, and that would just be playing on repeat, and so that sounds like
falling asleep to the DVDs was the worst. I was at one of my jobs. There was a big TV in the lunchroom, and it would be left on. Like Judge Judy or stuff like that, like game shows in the middle of the day. And the problem is once you hit like that 1 o'clock area, it turns to soap operas. And of course, like I just said, I watched One Life to Live for about a decade. So I'm in this room, I go get coffee, and One Life to Live is on the TV, and it's just as melodramatic and awful as you think it would be. And there's a group of women, no less, making fun of the show. They're like, do you believe that they react to this with this person? And I'm like, you don't understand what just happened. And I went through about 5 minutes of their backstory of why they're arguing. It was the best looks I've ever gotten from someone, ever. Just like their jaws on the floor, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why do you know this? It made my heart so happy that it was all worth it.
Yep, that happens to me with Gilmore Girls or Designing Women or...
I watched Designing Women when I was a kid. Yeah. Golden Girls?
Because my wife watches it. I would point out we were over 70 watchers for a second. Then they came in to a fantasy football podcast and we're discussing like DVD background music for the Gilmore Girls. And I find that personally hilarious.
That should have upped our viewership.
Right.
Kelsey, you're the
one Golden Girls are a good one. Some of the most quotable series I've ever watched.
I am still like mind blown from the fact that Thank You for Being a Friend almost wasn't the intro.
I know, right?
Like, can you imagine that show without that song?
No, it'd fail.
Yeah, 100%. That show would have failed in the first year without that song.
Probably would have taken Bette Midler with it.
Yeah,
because it was her song that was going to be. Yeah. So Kelsey 106.
Zach trying to pull us back onto the tracks.
I need more context with this one though. What's your team look like, and is it a tight end premium?
Let's use that phrase, in a vacuum.
But again, no, Russ, I need to know what
value-wise is different. What would I do? I'm keeping Kelsey
tight end premium.
Make it up. Well, he's a 49ers logo. Who cares about it, what they think anyway?
What have you got against?
I'm supposed to hate them because I'm a Seahawks fan, even though I don't care at all.
Okay.
Joe Herbert, at some point, picks need to yield production on the field or they are worthless. False.
Yeah.
False.
Unfortunately, false. You can just keep trading for value.
You can keep, again, you keep kicking it down the line and getting a piece with the next pick. And no, the pick itself never has to yield production.
I'm with you to some point, Joe, because at some point you need points to win, and that's the only thing value you can buy. But it's almost, you can't just say at some point you have to spend the money, therefore money is worthless. That's not true.
That is,
you know what I mean?
Great analogy. Tim Shady. Anyone else here? Marquise Brown is hanging up. Oh yeah, we talked about this on the video game. It's not real. It's not going to happen.
I don't believe. I would watch the hell out of that though. If he does it, let me know. I'm subscribing.
Oh man, and like
give him a little Twitch Prime to that guy.
We have the Ravens and the Steelers rivalry, and then like Marquise and Juju, like video game rivalry, like bring it into another world.
Right,
I'm in.
And no,
is there a Patreon?
We just saw the NFL overtime
with NFL players.
Fortnite on the jumbotron.
No, my mind just blew up. Like, you know when they do events where NFL players will play with popular streamers?
Yes.
That means Marcus Brown could be playing with like Antonio Brown or Chris Godwin or anyone on the same stream. That would be awesome. And Marcus Brown is a pro. You get it? I don't think
what's
you get
wild,
it.
Joe, is people are going to add even more benefits of the doubt on those 23 picks once they don't hit after first year. Every rookie, though. I mean, we've talked about that a bit. And yes, the higher you think of the rookie, the more leniency they'll have on a bad first year.
That's a good point.
I mean,
there's a floor and a ceiling, though. Like, you know, Terrace Marshall at this point is almost a buy because he's worth a third-round pick and he's got a better chance of improving his value over the next year than a third-round pick.
By the same token, though, what Joe just said, people will give the benefit of the doubt to those 23 picks. That also insulates the value of your 23 pick. So if you are one of the people who is smart enough to get out, if a player doesn't have a solid first year, that's still going to be insulated because of that 2023 class.
I have a problem with this guy's league. That's wrong. They voted for Superflex after he traded his future first away. You can't do that. That's not fair.
I mean, is this a league full of your bestest best friends? Just asking.
Yeah, I have such a that's you need.
If so, they just troll the shit out of you.
Yeah,
and if not, there are other
draft
leagues.
Seasons where no one traded a pick because you need to give fair chances if you're changing that league over. Oh, here we go. Here's your context, Zach. Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance, Minshew, Fitzpatrick, and Tyrod, the 101 and the 106, taking Burks and either Walker or Drake. Should I be taking a QB? Okay, so I'm guessing here's the 106 or Kelsey. I guess he's asking if he should trade his 106 for Travis Kelsey, where he has, I mean, you need a lot more team.
I would
have Rodgers.
I would rather have Kelsey than whatever I'm getting at 106 in this particular class.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you, let's say you have Kelsey.
You have a quarterback problem, by the way, just in case I forget to say that. You have a strong, like, I know everyone loves Trey Lance and Aaron Rodgers is great, but like Russ is uncertain he starts next year. So you have no certain starting QBs at the moment. And
I don't feel great
just throwing that out there.
Yeah, so that's what he said. Should he take a quarterback? Probably. Yes. So that's, I mean, okay, so now the question becomes, you probably can get a quarterback at 106 in this draft class in a super flex.
Would you feel good about that guy you're getting?
That's the question. But are you feeling good about the guy you're taking at 101?
I don't want any quarterbacks in this class. I think the automatic answer is I'm trying to use those picks to trade for those guys we mentioned. Like that would be
for a quarterback. So so there you go. So don't trade for Kelsey, trade for a quarterback.
Well, you could trade the 106 for Kelsey, trade the 101 for
Kelsey plus a 101 gets you what quarterback? That's the answer you need to know and see if it's worth it for you. Or the 106.
Back to the 14 team going to be a super flex in 23. Would you trade Swift for the 101 and the 23 first? we don't care about we're unhappy with the 101 this year, but the answer is still yes.
Yes.
Honestly, I would try and then trade the 101.
Well, but he needs quarterbacks. He didn't have.
Yeah, so, again, I would rather trade the 101 for a quarterback I like than having to take Malik Willis or someone I don't like.
So would you
He's
rather
trading Swift for those picks, though.
Yeah,
right?
do you think
That's
trading
what I would
Swift
do.
for those picks is the way to go, or trade Swift for a quarterback? Because I think you can get a
Depends who you
better
can get.
quarterback for Swift than you can for the 101.
Yes, but also getting the 23 first, where you can then turn that into a hopeful good quarterback in 23. It depends if you're willing to wait the 2 years, because having the 23 first when you're going to be Superflex the next year is pretty valuable.
We don't know your league, dude. Like, what do you think? Can you add your first to a Swift and go get the quarterback that you'd
doesn't
rather
have his
do
first.
that?
He
If
doesn't have a
not,
first
the
until-
picks.
He doesn't have his
this-
first. That's the thing.
Right. With this being the only option, I'd say the values definitely you should, but sure.
I know the world is low on Dak, but you're not getting Dak for the 101 this year.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, Tim. Daniel McGrath, thanks for
Not
the
super
insight, guys. Love the show. We love you too, Daniel. On both firsts and hope for you're not getting Kyler for 2 firsts, especially this year. I if you can, awesome, go do that if you can.
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah. Sorry,
No.
I'm not doing any. I'm not going after Watson. Just
I'm funny. Oh, thank you.
I think that this is when you telling her not to drink and drive because you need her for your comment section.
I do.
You could just
do.
Right, they're talking to each other. No, I don't think there's too much aggression coming out of you. Being blunt can be a quality. You tell it like it is, and I think he took it wrong. He thought you were being aggressive when you were saying that we're being aggressive towards you.
Yeah, I think so. You're good, Patrick. I really appreciate you, man. Carry on.
No, Russ is the host because Peter told me that he wasn't going to make it and then showed up at the last second. And I said, no, it's too late. I'm already hosting this stuff. And honestly, I thought he was just going to take over at some point and he hasn't yet. So I've just been kept going.
I was ousted in a violent coup. He's not going to tell you the truth, but
there was as much violence as you can get being a lot of states away from each other. I actually really, really like.
No, I'm enjoying. Russ is a better host than me, and it's nice to have him controlling the comments because I keep getting these guys out the show at like 2 a.m. and believe it or not, they have families, and those families are angry at me. So I thought I'd let Russ take a shot at.
Oh man, I'm crossing my fingers. My family's asleep.
Fair.
Jack Wolf, Jamar Chase for AJ Brown and the 108. Is that too low of an ad to sell Chase for AJ Brown? Yeah.
I'd rather have Chase than.
Okay, so here's the thing. AJ Brown, he's 24 and a half. He's super young. If you don't care about the injuries he's had and you just think of him as the good player that he is, this doesn't seem that bad. The thing is, that's not super reality. I think Chase is one of those players at this point where you should be able, if you're not getting your dream offer, you don't take it.
I would take just regular reality. I don't need super reality. Yeah, you could be trading Jamar Chase for pretty much Jamar Chase and getting a free pick, or you could be trading Chase for the 108. No. So the value's there. It's even, but I probably want the Chase side 9 times out of 10. It sucks. I don't like it.
Peter's sensitive, and that's fine.
It was a well-timed comment from Joe from half an hour ago.
Yeah. I knew she knew a lot of things. I did not know she knew the future, but she saw that one coming.
Fantasy Condo, Darren Waller, Adam Troutman, and the 310 are Dallas Goedert and Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
So easily. 10-team Superflex Dynasty, start 11, no premium. I don't care. Yeah, that Goddard and McLaurin very, very easily for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy to know people are still rostering Adam Troutman for no particular reason.
No particular reason.
You go, dude.
It's like, especially in tight end premium, you see that happening, but it really is funny. We'll give up on running backs pretty easily. We'll give up on wide receivers. It takes a little longer, but we will hold on to any tight ends that had a modicum of hope for upside.
This guy was good in the Senior Bowl 3 years ago. You're not getting him for nothing.
Yep.
If you're gonna hold on to him, hold on to the athletes.
Julian Ferreira, who's the best wide receiver to buy now for a contending team trying to go back to back? Old guys.
Okay.
Javonte Adams. Stephon Diggs.
Adams is a good one.
Michael Thomas back to
Tyreek
Peters
Hill.
for nothing.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas, Diggs, AJ Brown. I'm going straight to that top tier.
Yeah, and the thing is, Michael Thomas is the
maybe.
easy right answer because you probably don't even have to send a first for him at this point, and he has the outcome of being able. He has the talent of being the wide receiver one because he's done it before. But if you're looking to trade higher pieces for a higher valued player, you're probably better off going for the guys that age out of dynasty value. Like, go get Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Like, he's still going to be a very, very, very good scoring wide receiver, but you're not going to have to pay the same for him that you would for CeeDee Lamb, who is going to score less, but he's so young and talented that you're going to have to pay more for him.
These are all good answers. I just think AJ Brown, he in his range of outcomes is having Cooper Kupp season this year, points wise.
Yes.
And he's not too old either. I think it's more interesting in more situations, but whatever.
What about Deontay Johnson for a guy who is his value and his points are incongruous? Where like I think he's undervalued outside of the top 12, but he probably is right on the cusp of top 12 points wise.
Well, he is the wide receiver 12.
See there,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
you're just gonna
they're pretty even.
If you're just going to cut the value quotient out of it entirely, the points players I have on my list are literally Marcus Brown, Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuels, who I know is ranked really high, just doesn't feel like people are going to
his trade value
him
like there.
Yeah, exactly. Hunter Renfro that we talked about earlier. OBJ, but he just tore his ACL maybe, so maybe a hold on that. And then Landry and Boyd for that floor.
And it's always Waddle.
Yeah.
Oh, Waddle's so good. He's worth it. Cesar Sandoval, 12-team Superflex, David Montgomery, Gabe Davis for a 23 first, and Nico Collins and Josh Palmer. I would take the first.
Yeah, I don't care about Collins and Palmer. I don't care about
Gabe Davis. So Montgomery, and I would take the first over Montgomery.
Yep.
Just the first. Yeah.
First. If Carson Strong's knee checks out, he is by far the best QB in this class. I've watched the tape thoroughly, and it's not close.
Good enough.
I've not watched Carson Strong. I will fully cop to that, but
we'll find out on the next.
I mean, if he can stand up and throw a ball 15 yards down the field, then he's got a chance of being the best.
Nicholas J.
We have a chance in Gary.
You got a shot, Peter. My knees.
We would have a shot.
My knees toast. My medicals don't check out.
I'm more set to be a lineman than I am a quarterback. I just got Connor in a trade, so I'm trying to feel out his value to trade him. That's where we'd be redundant. I'm glad to have context on why you were so interested on James Connor's value.
That's good to know. Yeah. James Conner is a person on everyone's trade bait. Like, what would anyone want James Conner?
Give T. Higgins and the 101 for Justin Jefferson in a 10-team 0.5 PPR rebuild. No. If you're rebuilding, why would you give away a young wide receiver and the 101?
Right, for a young wide receiver.
You want more assets when you're rebuilding, especially young wide receiver and the 101. Like I get it, Justin Jefferson is awesome, but you're sort of moving in the wrong direction by doing that.
Yeah.
Stafford is 5 years younger, and he already had Watson and okay, he's
answering why I'd want Stafford. I get it, I do, but I know.
We have Doc Rivers listening, by the way, and all.
I don't think he's one of those quarterbacks that creates that difference making, like a Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes. That creates a significant difference in scoring. I think he's very good, but I also think he's in the older tier, which means we're also trading for points for next year. And so, like, he ends up in a weird range for me. That's the only reason that was doing for me. He's not one of those difference making points players. He's also not that difference making value player. So he's just kind of, if I get a good deal, sure.
Can I just thank Doc Rivers for the Celtics teams back in the 2000s, like the late 2000s? Like I really appreciate that. I was in Boston at the time. It was fantastic.
Anything is
Love
possible.
you, Doc. Yeah, that's the one.
Sorry. Joe Herbert, Carson Strong is taking flack because so much of the fantasy community give a pass to QBs who can't throw if they can run. I think it's going to bite them in the end.
Double-edged sword, though. Yes, Joe. But also, a lot of
reasons.
people knock. Yeah, a lot of people, NFL people, knock this new type of quarterback.
They do.
Because the game has changed, the game has shifted away from the statue in the pocket throwing, 40 yards down the field to guys who can run the RPO and move the pocket and change the game with a different dynamic. So yes, like guys that throw the ball are valuable. I mean, we saw Mac Jones come out last year and be very solid.
It's actually the guy I was going to mention. He's an old archetype, but it doesn't mean they can't happen anymore. But it does mean they're going to be very rare. Like Mac Jones is rare.
Oh, it's literally looking at Derrick Henry versus the McCaffrey and Kamara, and that, like, the old guard was put the ball in the belly of the running back, have the quarterback drop back, stand in the pocket. The new thing is we're throwing to running backs. The new thing is we're moving quarterbacks. We're running. In fantasy, we've got this weird thing where, like, because running the ball counts for or accounts for so many points, if you can run and just be adequate passing, you're in the top tier or the top scoring tier of quarterbacks.
Another thing that was recently pointed out to me, in a weird conversation, but I learned stuff from it, so I enjoyed it, was that even quarterbacks that you don't think of as rushing quarterbacks, they don't have to be Cam Newton.
Yes.
Most quarterbacks have this significantly higher rushing addition to their game, even if they're not, rushing quarterbacks. I mean, Russell Wilson really isn't a rushing quarterback anymore, but he sure does a lot with his legs.
Right.
And he adds
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers does more than you think. Most do when most used to not.
Yeah.
It's not all just being basically a running back.
Ramondre the Rhino Stevenson. That was tough to say. Honestly, it has nothing to do with him. It's the fact that he's a Patriots running back, and will he ever get the chance to be a guy is really more of what it comes down to.
I'm so disappointed I didn't do. That's Ramondre. Da, 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 da. Sorry.
That's literally all I'm going to be able to think of now every time I see his name.
3 leagues, but they're all super important because they're high stakes. Yes, in which case you be super safe and don't listen to a word I say when it comes to trades because, oh man. Points per stream for our points per Fortnite league.
Fair.
My risky trade was sending Tyreek away for Ridley in the 108. That's a little risky, yes. I could see that. Yes, Peter's a boomer no matter when he was born. That is 1,000% true. He was born a little old man. He was born a grumpy little old man. That's also, you have to make sure to throw that grumpy part.
But it's a hyphenate. It's Peter Howard Button. He's working his way younger.
No, see, the problem is he just stays the same. That same grumpy old man. He doesn't age.
Hey, Carol, if you've never met Joe before, you really should. She's in most of our chats. She's
fantastic.
Easily one of the best person I've had conversations with about Dynasty, and you should hope. She won't come on streams or actually get involved in content, but she's really interesting, and she watches streams. So. Just mentioning that.
Okay, weirdo.
Well, someone that likes to engage on live streams. I know Cal is like literally the only other live stream DLF has. I'm like, hey, notice Joe.
Rogelio Gomez. I have Cup and Lamb. Should I trade them?
Maybe.
Yeah, there's a whole lot more needed there. I mean, not for the sake of it. I mean, they're both awesome and both are going to score points. If you don't have anything but those two, then yes. If you have a good team, then no.
It seems to be changing, but Lamb was undervalued for a hot minute there because he wasn't Jefferson or Chase. And Cup, you should only trade him if you get like all the value.
All the value.
Like we were talking about earlier, it's more of a points player now.
West Coast Chiefer, what's up, guys? 12-team Superflex PPR, Mac Jones, or I'm going to guess Deontay Johnson in the 204.
Mac Jones.
I think the answer is Mac Jones, and I don't like it. But the answer, because if you're not getting a quarterback, I want better value. But I really like Deontay Johnson, and I think he's a great value. But again, that's not playing into what he is. This is paying for a top 12 wide receiver, not what you're supposed to get Deontay Johnson for.
Okay, we got a
What?
question, but it's coming in from an unusual place. So let me try and. Well, that's really special, isn't it?
From Peter's closet in his studio.
Yeah.
Someone's just like,
Do you want a Amari Cooper or a 23 first?
First.
Yeah.
I got Cooper for my 23 first rejected when I was trying to buy my 23 first back from someone fast, like rejected right away fast.
Would you take Cooper or Darren Waller?
Which would you?
Depends on if I read the trade or not.
Didn't work out for me anyway.
Nah.
Tanner Morris, Lamb, or AJ Brown? It's Lamb.
I still think I'd have Lamb, but
it's Lamb for me.
It's close.
It's close. It's what does my team look like?
Yeah, I don't think it matters. Like they're wide receiver 3 and 4.
For me, it does because AJ Brown's got the higher ceiling, but Lamb is younger and better and has no injury history. So if my team is stocked and I got the value, I'm good. I'm going to shoot for the ceiling and go for AJ Brown.
Apparently, Peter made a joke and no one cared except for Connor.
I got the joke, Peter. It was very funny. I appreciate you, man. Connor's got me.
Okay, but the problem is dynasty value is theoretical value. That's
it's all made up. Like money.
But like you're saying, like, it's either until you make the pick or you trade it for a player. The problem is you can do both.
Yeah, and you can pick your spot.
Yeah, so like there really is actual value to these picks. Like there is truth in what you're saying, but it's not a fully true statement because the ability.
It's not a fully accurate statement. Maybe that's a better word because.
Yes, absolutely. You speak the real language. We just adopted it. You were born in the darkness, molded by it.
I'm happy to be here to educate you. Actually, that's all. It's always been a dream of mine to come and spread knowledge, and I appreciate you giving me that chance.
I'm here for you, Peter. That's what we're here for. Luke Johnson. I played hockey with a guy named Luke Johnson. Sup, dudes? 12-team Superflex, 0.5 PPR. Would you rather have Mooney or Rojo, Khalil Herbert, Wait, is this Darnell Mooney 4, Rojo, Khalil Herbert, Brian Edwards, the 209 and a 24 third? The answer is still Mooney because that's a whole lot of nothing. But that is a whole lot of nothing.
That looks like a trade that if you picked up your couch cushions, then you separated the back cushion from the springs, and then you reach your hand way in the back. That's what you come up with is that trade. That's
Rojo. No, someone went to a trade calculator and kept adding their players until the value met the other value, and we're like, that's a fair offer. Yeah.
Okay, so Steve Dennis. Wait. Double take. Okay, keep trade cut. Terrace Marshall, keep trade cut. 3 sticks of celery.
That is somebody who knows Peter. I'm taking the celery, especially if I've got peanut butter on hand. Peanut butter and celery is fantastic.
And some raisins.
Don't answer
that one. I'm just excited that Peter wants to buy Terrace Marshall now.
Terrace Marshall. If he falls into my lap, I'd take him at a third value. It's not a particular target because I don't expect it to bounce back. But
Russ is a great host, Joe.
She is.
Absolutely.
I love how everyone thinks you're smoking joints.
I know, right? I mean, we are 420 friendly, but like
not because he's smoking. He actually is smoking tobacco. Yeah, and I save that for after streaming.
Tobacco and coffee are literally all I do. I don't even do alcohol. Sorry.
Wait, you actually have nothing fun. It's 11:34.
Well, I finished it, but yeah.
I remember. I just figured you had alcohol in a coffee mug. Will DJ Moore ever get a QB? Probably not. Well, he will get a QB. He may not get a good QB.
I keep trying to convince myself they can score touchdowns on that team, and I keep not being able to convince myself. Christian McCaffrey can score touchdowns there, but that's because they just give him the ball and he does it. If you rely on any other part of that team. Whew.
It sucks that they are changing to Superflex, but Russ thinks I trade too much. 18 months ago, I had Brady, and everything else on my team is brand new. Last year, I had 0 first and traded for Pitts and Chase. All right, then you might not be in as much trouble as I think you are if you could pull that off. I mean, good for you, man.
Everything's league dependent, to be fair. A lot of my leagues, like it's got Russ and Zach in them. They're not casual or uncasual players, maybe, but I still find periods of the year where I can't get responses, or no one's interested in the trade right now. They're happy with their team is. But if yours is a lot more active than that, it changes it.
Jared S. Zach Wilson, 202 and a 23 second for Deshaun Watson and a 23 third in a 12-team Superflex. I want Wilson. I don't care. I don't want Deshaun Watson. Give me the 202 in a second also. Like, I don't want Deshaun Watson.
Morally, I don't want Deshaun Watson. I'm taking that trade if I take my personal feelings out of it, because Zach Wilson, I think, is meh. I had him graded as meh coming out. He hasn't done anything to show me that he's any better than that. And Deshaun Watson, if he is not in jail or suspended, which
here's the thing, though, Russ. Reading those Davenport threads, it really looks like Watson's going to play.
Yeah,
it really seems to be shaping up that way. And given that, I don't want Watson. But yeah, so
I know I get it. Like,
I don't no. I'm doing my best to taking morality out of it. I'm not fully, because I can't, but I don't think I ever feel safe at this point until I hear Roger Goodell say, we are not suspending Deshaun Watson for those charges, that whatever happened, and it's signed in blood, that, you know, he gets sent straight, he'll lose his soul if he goes back on it, then I'll feel safe with Deshaun Watson. But until then, I'm not.
I will say, I can answer the question, but you all mentioned Tyreek Hill as an older veteran wide receiver. And the reason he never occurred to me is I just do not roster that man, and I won. It's fine to be that way too. And I win and lose, and like, you don't have to roster any one player if you don't want to. 1,000%. Now, Joe's playing in high stake leagues. Sometimes you need to cut that shit out. But
1,000% high stake. That's another world. Dynasty Pylon, Russ, Dynasty. Hey, lots of exclamation points. I like it. You guys are literally why my drives to work from home work or home make brightens my day. Thanks, man.
It sounds like you read that like he was typing while he was driving. By the way,
don't do that.
If you're doing that, don't do it, Dynasty.
Don't do that.
But we really appreciate it.
Like you alive. Please stay alive, all of you.
No, but really do appreciate it. That so many people will come in and just talk to us about Dynasty every week. Not only blows me away, but it makes my week. Not joking. This is a lot of fun. Yes. No one in real life gives 2 cents. And I've learned to stop boring them. So this is amazing. Thank you.
It's really funny. Like, I end my own show before 11:30, but we're here now and I stay awake for as long as I possibly can because this is so much freaking fun. Hey, Regalia again. If so, what should I ask for them? Half PPR. Oh, this was back to Cup and Lamb.
Cup and Lamb, yep.
Okay, so 10-team half PPR does hurt a little bit, but still, you should be able to write your own ticket on both of them. And if you're not happy with it, you don't take it. In which case, you should just be probably holding on to them if you're not getting what you like.
Rough value line, 3 firsts. Most things are worth 3 firsts in a Dynasty league.
Just to put it out there.
Yes, each. Like, it doesn't have to just be 3 firsts, but if you can understand, and in not too many pieces, that the value is hitting that line, that's kind of roughly is a eyeball calculation. Words
indeed. Mitchell Grady, 12-team Superflex, half PPR, tight end premium. Keenan Allen and Dawson Knox, or 23 first in the 208. Value-wise,
I guess I've got to say the first, because I said that for Amari Cooper, but can I just, like, Team Old Guy wins, man. Like, Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper, and they cost in like 1 mystery box. It's awesome. But yeah, probably the first.
If you're looking to get out of the age of Keenan Allen, this trade is fine to go get those picks. That the value is the picks, because Keenan Allen is old. Dawson Knox is in that bog of eternal stench of tight ends that will never get anywhere value-wise. The 23 first will go up in value in the 208. It's probably a good piece to attach to something else to get a pick you want, like you're doing with Dawson Knox. So depending on what you're trying to do with it.
To Joe's point, like, Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen are worth a first, but I'm not doing it unless my team sucks and I really need to start churning stuff.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I'm just keeping those points.
Daniel Meyer, opposite Peter, I wouldn't trade for Stafford with 2 starters on the roster and once.
Fair enough.
Cool. What draft capital would you give up for Cup? I mean, we talked about that already. For me, I would give up the 101 plus for him because that's what he's worth, and he will score worthwhile that. Staven Sports Cards. Why are second-round picks so undervalued in Superflex, Zach? I always hear analysts talking about QBs pushing value down in the first, but very few talk about it pushing great profiles with day one.
We've mentioned that a few times, I feel like.
No, we absolutely,
if you read DLF content, it comes up in Superflex talk a lot because literally early first is early second is a late first. It's really important.
But a lot of it's psychological because one is better than 2 in terms of picks, and so I think that's a big part of it. The nice thing, Staven, is you can use that to your advantage, and this is what I'll do. And I've talked about it a bunch on here. I've talked about it a bunch on my podcast. Is I will buy on credit, and so even if I don't have a second round pick in this draft, if there's somebody on the clock and there's a player that I want, I will go and I will say, I will give you next year's second and I will give you a third this year for your pick, because now I can snipe. I can sit there and say, this is the player I want. Here's a third and a second for a second. That's better than a second. So 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be able to make that trade and get the player I want. And so use that undervalue to your advantage.
Yeah. And I mean, I could only speak to what I say because I don't want to talk for other people, even though when I start rambling, I don't know what I'm saying anyway. So maybe I have done that before. But the truth is, I mean, I've said that a lot. The fact that, I mean, I think I've said it earlier today where there's such a big difference between the picks of a super flex rookie draft and the pick of a 1 QB, because at least like even in years like this, where even though there's 4 not great quarterbacks, there's still 4 quarterbacks that are probably getting taken in the first round, in which case, if you like those wide receivers at the end of the first, it's so much easier because you can get them at the top of the second in a super flex draft.
The only other place this comes up, dredging up a memory, like when I first started trying to play Dynasty, figured out what I liked, I signed up for like 16 and 32 team leagues, like let's make it like the real NFL and stuff. And first still carry a normally higher value because they have that 1 in front of them. And it was really easy to take advantage of. That's the only other place I can think of where that value still happens, where, if you're playing in a 16-team league, a first ain't a first half the time.
Yes.
But anyway.
Daniel Novak, is Ridley a buy?
I have no idea.
I would rather wait for him to tell me he's going to play again and then overpay than buy. That's the way I'm playing it.
I will pay the wait and see tax, even though I have him still on half my teams. Even with rookies in general, I'm willing to pay that wait and see tax. With Calvin Ridley, I will 1,000% because we know what he can be. So yeah. I'm fine paying.
And the thing is, when he does come back, there will be a lag. So there'll be like a will he, isn't he? Is he still as good? And I will pay that tax because he won't be what Calvin Ridley was worth before he decided to step away. And so it'll still be a pretty good opportunity.
And you're also going to have people that won't believe he'll ever be safely committed to the league again. So his value won't be super steady unless I still have him, in which case the second he thinks about talking about football again, 101, baby.
And in the meantime, you just get to smile to yourself every time. It's like, when's this guy I drafted going to come back? Maybe I be like, I don't know, dude. Maybe he's not. And it's
Matt Tom. We like Fortnite. There you go. You got another boomer in the chat. I don't even know.
It's John Bosch when I need him. We need my third man.
Sleeping. He's old. Colin.
He went to. I figured out how old I was the other day. By the way, someone said they were asking whether they're a boomer or not, and they said their age, and I retweeted it, and I had to take a second to think how old I was, and when I figured it out, I was like, "Damn, yeah, I'm old."
Yeah, you're old.
It's one of those moments, like, wow, I can't even think of myself as early 30s anymore. Wow.
Yeah, me either.
I shouldn't have checked.
No, yes, Zach definitely can't.
I am early 40s.
Late 30s.
Yeah, but you're early. I feel like that's better. I'd rather be
Just
early
saying the word
40s
early.
than late.
Colin Hoffman, thoughts on the Miami coaching hires post McDaniel, Wes Welker, wide receiver coach, impacts on the offense in Miami. It's such a unless you have someone so Shanahan, someone who has been to multiple places already and been able to put their system, like regardless of who those players are, I don't think we can guess. I don't think we really know. I mean, does Wes Welker being the wide receiver coach mean maybe they turn Waddle into a more of a slot receiver kind of guy? Like, does that? I don't know, man. Like,
I mean,
he just what he was doesn't mean that's what he teaches. Like,
but he came from San Francisco too, as an assistant.
Yes.
So I mean, like, you got familiarity with McDaniel's, like apostrophe S, not McDaniel's, but McDaniel owns the system. Yeah. You know, assuming McDaniel comes in and runs that Shanahan type system, you've got Welker who's got familiarity with it. That's probably a good thing. You've got multiple coaches who have a grasp of what they're trying to do. So yeah, but it's really hard for me to get excited about a coaching narrative, especially when we're getting granular down to the wide receiver coach.
I will say I am excited just because I want Tua to be good, and this seems like a good move for Tua.
Yes.
So I will go against everything I just said because the narrative helps my beliefs and makes me happy. And that's why I do this, because I want to be happy. So yes, I love the idea of McDaniel in Miami because I think that really fits Tua. I just like that we make people laugh from Peter's
closet. Was me from Peter's closet.
Ridley is a buy if you're okay with the risk of him not returning. Yeah. Is someone a buy? Depends on the price. I mean, that's the unfortunate answer. That is always the answer, but I want Ridley to come back so bad.
That's such a hard, to me, that's such a hard thing because it's not like, okay, he tore his ACL. We know that the timetable is 10 to 14 months. Like you don't have a timetable with mental health. And honestly, it's not our business. Like we don't have any leg to stand on in terms of wanting to know or expecting him back. So
yeah, again, even if we felt that nosy, even if we felt we deserve the right to know, it's not like we can see where he is in rehabbing his knee. Like we can't say like, hey, give us a video of you on the treadmill, run the 3-cone and see what it's like. You can't do that for mental health. That's not how it works. So yeah, there's really just nothing you could do. Buying him is terrifying. And even for someone like me who does love Ridley that much, I can't call him a buy just because the floor is literally zero. Oh, just in time. Peter comes back for Cal asking, is there any chance we get Peter versus Hollywood in a Fortnite Twitch stream?
I mean, yeah, sure. I'd do it. He'd owe me, but whatever.
Freak Stomp 49er. Miami got an amazing guy as their coach. I'd buy Miami players right now. Any RB that goes to Miami is a must-have. Great things coming for the Dolphins.
I hope you're right. I'm really rooting for the team not to have essentially deliberately ruined Tua's career so that they could improve their overall outlook or whatever the frick they were trying to do, because they've really seemed to have been making some weird decisions. And I think Tua's got a lot of potential. I think a lot of players on that roster do. I sure hope they weren't gambling it because they can find good players anytime, because I think they've proved over the last few years that no, they cannot. So I hope you're right.
All truths are half truths. That
I
is
like
unfortunately very true.
Fiction is a lie to tell the truth. I like that one.
If the receiving threshold for RBs is 20 receptions per year, do you have a threshold for QBs that rush, or is QB more of a crapshoot?
I don't, but you can tell if a quarterback is a running quarterback. Like I'll watch quarterbacks, and I also keep track of what they've done in terms of their career for rushing. And so if you look at somebody like Malik Willis, had back-to-back years where he had 944 yards rushing in 2020, and last year he had 838. Like that's a running quarterback. Whereas if you look at Kenny Pickett, his career high is 233 yards. That's not really a mobile quarterback. So you can kind of look at that. Like last year, if you look, Trey Lance was obviously the running quarterback in the class. Mac Jones had 53 rush yards for his career. Like that, like you can kind of get a feel, but in terms of what they're going to be in the NFL, a lot of it ends up with scheme, whether or not teams have the ability to change what they do. I mean, like Tyrod Taylor, when he was in Buffalo, he's a running quarterback, a good running quarterback. They didn't do him any favors with their offense. That's tough. Lamar Jackson ended up they brought in an offensive coordinator who schemed, and changed that offense, built it around Lamar Jackson. But the long answer, Tim, is no, I don't have a threshold. It's kind of a feel thing, but it's a crapshoot because you don't know what's going to happen with their NFL team.
Colin Hoffman, conspiracy theorist in me, has a theory that McDaniel works up a deal for Sermon if they don't get an RB that they want.
Ooh, don't do it. Don't do it. He was not good coming out. He was my RB 13 in the class last year. No, don't do it.
Sermon I think that's what most people miss. Like, I found him on a few waiver wires, so sure I'll add him. But he had the shot. He got beat out by everyone else on the roster.
Got beat out by Ramondre Stevenson in college.
I know. This isn't that he's waiting for his opportunity. They keep handing him opportunity, and he keeps coughing up the ball.
Of course, Cal knows Joe, Peter. Did you think he was here for us?
I had hope.
Smarter than that.
I spoke with too much hope in my voice. That's true. Bringing me back to earth.
I just won my league, but consider getting picks for the 23 draft. Yeah. I mean, just because you're doing well doesn't mean you can't get some draft capital as long as it doesn't sacrifice
your You're also looking to add value without sacrificing too many points, essentially. Or any.
Oh, and hello from Mexico.
Oh.
Hey.
That's awesome. What's the weather like? Seriously. Oh, that sucks.
Cal says, offer me a trade in our league, Peter.
I didn't know I played in the league with you, to be honest, Cal. No, yeah, okay.
Jared says, thanks for the Q&A. Hey, thank you. I love the combination of game theory, player, and trade evals, plus random off-topic thoughts. This is great. See, he liked our Golden Girls talk and our Fortnite talk.
Thank you, Joe.
See, Joe's here for us. Joe appreciates us for who we are.
I love the chat, the group that we've got, the family that we've got that we bring to the chat.
They're branching. Great. The Joe and Joe show coming your way soon.
We're out of business.
Surprisingly, a lack of negativity. Like, I keep looking for it. People tell me Twitter's horrible and YouTube's horrible and streaming's horrible and everyone's just nice. I don't know what they're talking about.
Who's your best Super Cooper 03 again? Who's your best best value or discounted player in a startup right now?
Cow has Terrace Marshall in our league. That's why he was saying it. No, sorry, dude. I tried to warn you.
3 celery sticks.
You took him and went, ha, stupid nerd, and now you've got him. Good luck. That's the way.
All right, so who's the best value or discounted player in a startup right now? I mean, Peter always been mentioning like Hollywood. That's your guy.
Sorry, what's the question? Who's your best value
or discounted player?
In a startup, did you say?
Yeah.
Well, then you're not looking at Michael Thomas. That's too old. Deontay Johnson.
Okay. Etienne's pretty close. I mean, you're taking him.
I was thinking wide receiver. But yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's fine. But anyone, like, if you're taking him at around the, running back 18 to 20, and are able to then flip him. I mean, like, I think he's being undervalued. I don't necessarily love him. Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, absolutely. The points will definitely outweigh the cost for him.
Yep. We've mentioned them before, but as far as the biggest value, I think he's the highest drafted player getting undervalued and drafted without risk. and he's at wide receiver. He's a little older, but that's the one that occurred to me.
We're getting a lot better at this. I like looking at ADP. Normally, I can scroll down to like between 40 and 60. In the last 3 or 4 years, I've been able to scroll down to like 40 to 60 and just be like, okay, well, these are the 3 guys that I want. And then the next year, they're in the top 25. It's getting a lot. There's a lot less meat on the bone now, which is fun.
Juju's kind of in that range. If we're not talking about the guy who's most valued, like Juju's in that 30 to 40 range, he could easily be one of those guys next year.
I'm a big Michael Carter fan.
Not bad.
I mean, I think Zach always was, but I liked him for his. I liked him because Zach liked him because I trust Zach in his rookie evaluation, but also landing on the Jets. Like I hedged my bets. I had a couple Michael Carter shares and I got a couple of Michael P. Ryan shares. I figured one of them is going to do something. And Michael Carter did really, really well on a not very good offense. So if they take a step forward at all as an offense, it's not going to be bad for Michael Carter. So, I mean, and he's running back 24 right now, 79th overall.
The other player that, and it's not necessarily a guy that I love, but if you're talking later value, and I always like to kind of attack running backs later. Peter mentioned it earlier, but Darrell Henderson was in the playoffs, the pass catching back in Los Angeles, which is a good way to score fantasy points if you're in PPR. Like catching the ball is 3 times as valuable as a carry. So
it's going to be a 50-25 split with, the rest going to randoms or players we don't care about or the quarterback again.
Devin Singletary, running back 32.
Yep.
With how well he did. I mean, you have to hope what happened at the end of the season was real. And that scares me because we get screwed over a lot by trying to believe that. But at an RB32 cost, it don't matter.
There are just some, miss me with the Buffalo running back is undervalued takes. I just, too many.
No, exactly. Yeah, but I'm here for it anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
I might get on a video someday, but I'm terribly shy, so it's a drag. I'm better texting. Hey, if you want to come on a podcast where you don't have to be live streaming, Trade Addicts, if you want, just saying.
Do a soft start, do a pre-record. Happy to have you on the podcast anytime you want to talk. And I, believe it or not, hate talking and being on camera. So
absolutely,
you're talking to 3 very accommodating people who just like to get good people out there. So I mean, you ain't weaseling out of this one. West Coast Chiefer again, 12 team Superflex PPR, Fields and Penny, or Deontay Johnson, the 108 and the 204. I want Fields. I get it. The value of Deontay Johnson, the 108 and the 204 is nice, but I just really like Fields. And I think while Deontay Johnson is very good, I think you can replace his value. And the 108 and the 204 in this draft is just sort of meh. So give me Fields, who I think can be one of those top QBs.
What do you really like about Fields? As someone who isn't particularly anti-Fields, was it the way he played, or is it the fact he's being undervalued because of that terrible year?
Well, I think he's incredibly talented and got stuck on a team that was bad and didn't use him correctly.
So here's the question. Do you think you could get Davis Mills for the 108 and 204?
Yes. Easily.
So I would rather have Deontay Johnson and Davis Mills than Fields and Penny. I think Davis Mills is going to be a starting quarterback. And I think Deontay Johnson is going to be a top 12 receiver. So I got a starting quarterback and a top 12 receiver. And I'm happy.
So pretty much, would you rather have, we're talking best case scenario right here. Top 8 quarterback versus top 12 wide receiver and top 24 quarterback. In my mind, I'd rather have the top quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair too.
And also, but going away from this trade, because I think we've all said what we think. Do you really actually think Davis Mills starts next season?
I do. He was really good this year.
Huh.
Okay.
I have him on a list somewhere, so that's good to know because my quarterback tastes are mostly random. If you're okay trading a trade, I don't mind. I really like that idea, Zach. Me, I'd probably just take Justin Field because I'm not very good at trading.
Yeah. John Ochu, if you can get one free NFL jersey from any active player, who would it be and why? See, the problem is I have a lot of the jerseys. I have T. Higgins, and when I'm not lazy, I'll end up hanging up. I have Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, and Allen Robinson. Like, those are most of my guys.
Active NFL player. I don't have any jerseys. I don't really do that. I'm a player fan, though. So I got a lot of players I really enjoy.
Of guys I don't have, I think maybe Davante Adams. Because I love the idea of getting jerseys or memorabilia or a card or something from a player that helped me win championships, and Davante's helped me win a few over the past few years. So but the thing is, his stuff's very expensive, so I've never gotten it. But yeah, no, like one jersey I don't have that I would like would be a green Davante Adams jersey, because I hate white jerseys. I
don't really have any criteria. Like, I don't wear it because I don't.
Oh, I mean, it's pure display.
Memorabilia or anything. I get the idea, don't get me wrong, but to answer the question, like, I don't really have any way of answering it. Sorry.
Zachariah?
Was that weird?
I was just say that's a weird way to say Zach Pascal, Peter.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But no, mine would be Justin Jefferson. I mean, that's my guy.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a Justin Jefferson guy from like the minute I laid eyes on his tape at LSU.
You and J Mike, yep. Alejandro, man, maybe we seem to be popular. 12-team PPR Superflex. Lockett, Henderson at the 206, or Hollywood?
Lockett.
Peter?
It's got Hollywood in it. Throw it to Peter.
It's got Lockett.
Yeah, give me Hollywood. Just give me Hollywood and the draft pick, I guess.
No, you don't get a pick.
Hollywood by himself.
Oh, I get the pick. I get Lockett. I get Darrell Henderson.
Yeah.
You get the Twitch stream.
The production difference between Hollywood and Lockett probably won't be that great, so give me Henderson at the 206.
I guess. Yeah, I like the fact he noted it was Superflex.
Well, that 206 is more valuable. We established that.
That's true. No, that's why I liked it. What do you mean, Zach?
Penny for 2/3.
Sure. I'd take Penny. I'd just give me the player at that cost.
Yeah.
Traded for JT today. It was a good day. Love the show.
Good job, man.
I mean, yeah, I'm with Joe. What did you send?
He doesn't even care. It was a good day. Let's leave it at that.
True or false? Laquan Treadwell will be fantasy relevant next year.
False.
He was starting to do pretty well.
False.
It's been false a lot.
If
it walks like a duck,
he's the next
Michael. You're going to try and define relevant, aren't you?
Okay. So let's pretend Matt Ryan is the starting quarterback. Let's pretend Calvin Ridley doesn't come back and they don't bring in another wide receiver. Let's pretend 2021 Falcons is 2022 Falcons.
Okay.
Do you think Laquan Treadwell can be a wide receiver 3 in fantasy?
No.
Okay.
Blah.
Would adding Amari Rodgers to the Hollywood side of that trade matter?
No.
Amari Rodgers doesn't matter, no.
That's the wrong A. Rodgers.
There. All right, we are caught up and I'm fading. So if you guys want to keep going, that's cool. Zach's like, I might have to cut out early, and he did.
Yeah, I'm half an hour over when I told my wife I was going to be done, but it was fun. The chat's great, and you guys are great, and so here I am.
All right, go out on that.
What's the worst take or call you've each had while playing fantasy football? Tyreek Hill's a gadget player and who won't be worth anything next year.
There's just so
I was going to say that one.
It's the only one that sticks out in my mind because a lot of my big takes are joking. Like, Eric Ebron's going to be the next Zach Ertz was hilarious to me when he went to the Colts with Frank Reich. But like, I really I didn't see it with Tyreek. It was all manufactured.
I went hard in the paint after Tyreek. I was like, he's going to have to learn how to play wide receiver. And then the Chiefs taught him how to play wide receiver.
I was
Did not
that
see
really,
that coming.
honestly, that's the only thing I remember saying where I was just like, I was wrong. That was really wrong. That was really wrong.
No, I've got another one. I drafted David Johnson with a 101 pick in Scott Fishbowl that year after his big year. I was like, no, I'm all in. I love David Johnson. Lower drafted player, did well at running back, is going to win me leagues. That was a bad one.
Okay, bringing up redraft, I thought of a worse one. It was like my second-ish year in fantasy. It was Adrian Peterson's second year in the league. I had the 102, and this was back in the time where LaDainian Tomlinson 101, and you're done, because one quarterback clearly back then. And in my head, I said, there's no way Adrian Peterson can be that good again. Give me Brian Westbrook. And then Brian Westbrook spent the entire season hurt and never did anything ever again in the NFL. And Adrian Peterson was Adrian Peterson for the next 26 years.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, that hurt my feelings. I did not win that league that year.
That's bad.
Zach clearly just doesn't make bad calls.
They're just so many. Like, if you do this long enough, you're going to have just tons of.
Okay,
no. And I spend time I remember my bad ones better. Those are the ones I'm going to learn from. I couldn't tell you most of my good ones.
Go to the DFPN stream and scroll back maybe like a year, and you will find Zach did a musical episode of all the calls he got wrong.
196. It's called Top 5 Analyst. Asterisk.
I would say Rashad Penny, but I kind of feel vindicated a little bit.
So, like
N'Keal Harry, I went hard in the paint for N'Keal Harry
and Corey Davis.
The nice
I was
thing,
obstinate.
I love.
And that's the thing you can't do. So that's one of my strengths is knowing when I've missed, and being able to be like, yeah, I missed. Okay, why did I miss? How can I fix it next time? And so, like John Kelly's the one that I always come up with, and I watched him play, and he was amazing. He would catch the ball out of the backfield. He was taking touches away from Alvin Kamara, and then came out the next year, and it was just like, this is a guy who just invites contact and runs over linebackers and catches the ball in the flat and like points at the defender and is like, I'm coming after you next, runs him over and keeps going. That doesn't fly in the NFL because the linebackers are all 30 pounds heavier and 0.2 of a second faster in a 40-yard dash. And all of a sudden, John Kelly didn't get it done because he wasn't the same level of athlete as the 1% of the 1% who are the NFL athletes. So, like,
tell you what,
no, go ahead.
No, this is kind of a side point, but I meant to mention it earlier, and you just reminded me of it. Something that's dug itself into my brain is something Travis Med said like a year ago to me in a DM somewhere, and I keep bringing it up in different ways. And that's just exactly how filtered players are by the time they get to the NFL. And when you said 1% of 1%, that's what stuck with me.
Yeah,
like more than I even realize how filtered they are. But that's not a particularly John Kelly thing, but it really sticks with me. Like, you should be able to, like, even John Kelly playing where he's playing from, it feels like he was, even being a below average athlete. I don't know. I would have caught that either, is what I'm saying.
I'm not going to pick a fight with the roto underworld, but the athleticism matters in athletics. All of these athletes are the top 1% of the top 1%. And the things that separate guys are either an incredibly elite athleticism or something else that they do really well that's not tracked by, athletic metrics. It's not, and 99% of the time, it's not combine stats that separate these guys. Everybody runs fast and everybody is strong, and the difference between Ishmael Zamora and Justin Jefferson is nothing athletically.
What did you take away from John Kelly then, given that? Because you were talking about how the linebackers are bigger and faster, but
it was watching running backs who try to initiate contact and stay away from them, because I don't think that's I don't think that's sustainable in the NFL, but B, I don't think that's a great way to attack NFL defenders. I think the one guy who can do that is Derrick Henry, and he is an absolute athletic freak. Maybe AJ Dillon can do that. I don't believe it, because I don't think he's quite in that same level of athlete that Derrick Henry is. But that's something that I have learned to avoid, is the player who his initial go-to is, I'm going to run you over. I'm going to be out physical you, and that's how I'm going to beat you. If it's in your bag of tricks, awesome. Like, that's just another thing that you can use. But I do not want that to be the go-to, because it's not sustainable at a level where every single player who is playing in that league was the best player on their college team. That's not, you can't do that. You can't. And this is something, and I should have learned it earlier than John Kelly, because I should have learned it from my own experience as an athlete, because coming up through, I was the best athlete on my little league team. I was the best player on my junior high team. I was the best player on my high school team. I was the best player on my college team. I was the best player in the college conference. And when I played above college, I was the number 7 pitcher on a bad team in a nothing independent baseball league. And that wasn't even like, that's not even sniffing an affiliated team. It's not even sniffing a major league team. And so every level you go up, the athleticism just gets better. And so the difference in the athleticism of those top guys it's not as much as you think.
They've learned to account for it. The other stuff they do, and that's how they succeed. And it's a weird and wild point. It's honestly why I'm continually reminding myself, like, I don't like this guy, but he is better at this than anything I have ever. I will never be that level at anything I will ever try and do. And I find it worthy to say a lot, even if it's
something I took away from Zach's comment. He's like, I was the best here. 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 I'm like, oh,
I was like, man, my life.
I mean, but again,
where am I?
You're talking like small town in Maine. You're talking small Division III college. You're talking small Division III conference. So like, it's not, when I say I was the best player there, it wasn't. That's not that impressive.
I was first chair trombone.
You did well at something. That's good.
District band, baby.
You see, first chair trombone. That's a thing, but you're never going to be. I don't know who plays trombone. I was going to say Louis Armstrong, but he's trumpet.
Thanks, Nathan.
I'm going to bed, guys.
That's it. Look over there.
I was just flashing thank you comments while you guys were continuing the conversation.
Thank you. Thank everybody in the chat, man.
Thank you.
Always great.
Throw some more questions here if you want to hit any of us up with them on any of our Twitter @ down here. So at PA Howdy, at Dynasty Outhouse, we'll answer them.
Or just wait here in the chat until next week. Just stay in front of your computer.
Not that we don't want to go over every question. It's literally that these guys, for some reason, need sleep. It's weird. I know. I agree. But I'm trying to, keep.
No matter how much I try, I'm still
keep my talent happy. So really appreciate it. And Joe, seriously, hit one of them up. I know you like the Trade Addict show. I know you like the Dynasty Dummy show, or even mine if you just, feel like slumming it. We'll do that someday. So appreciate it all. Appreciate you all. I think Dynasty Outhouse has an outro for us since he's actually leading the show. I have noticed that he has tried to step back.
That
was a bad one. Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend.
All right.
Okay. On that note, there is no outro after Devin Funchess.